You wake up on December 26th with a strange sense of relief in your chest. It's only when you come down the stairs of your grandmother's house, the one that smells like old cookies and half-dead fireplace wood, that you notice. There's no shredded paper on the floor, no bows, no gifts, and even stranger, no one seems to notice. The TV, as always, is playing the same Christmas Eve special you're convinced you've seen 17 times. Aunt Lisa serves scrambled eggs with the military precision she does every year. Cousin Danny complains about the cold. Grandpa mumbles something about the 1989 elections, selectively deaf as ever. But no one talks about gifts, not like they're hidden. They just don't exist. You rub your eyes, look again, nothing under the tree, no gift bags in the corner, no sound of new toys, no courtesy socks. For a second you wonder if they're saving them for a surprise the next day, which would be weird, considering the Martins family follows tradition more religiously than the lunar cycle. You test the waters with your sister. Hey, dinner was good, huh? What about the gifts? She shrugs. Oh, didn't really notice this year. Like it's optional. Like the last 27 Christmases weren't structured entirely around painfully unbalanced gift exchanges. You always give better than you get. And the unsettling part, it's not just your house. At the bakery on Main Street, where old man Isaias usually puts up the most obnoxiously large wreath you've ever seen, the windows are calmer. People smile more slowly. Stores look like Sundays. The whole town is in a post-Christmas haze, but not in a disappointed way. If anything, they seem lighter. You start asking around, carefully, like you're just being nostalgic. At Miss Dolores's hair salon, no Secret Santa this year. Oh honey, I guess we just forgot, and thank God we did. At the pharmacy, no perfume ads during the evening news. Huh, now that you mention it, not one. At Otto's corner store, no rush on batteries. Sold 2 packs for remote controls. It's like the entire town, maybe the world, collectively forgot to give gifts this Christmas. And nobody minds, except you. You remember. You know this has never happened before. Which is exactly the problem. You start noticing weirder details. Kids, who usually throw tantrums over dolls and video games, are actually playing. With snow, with mud, with their imaginations. Adults talk, like genuinely talk, without rushing to unwrap something. Even the priest during his Sunday sermon says, "This was the most spiritual Christmas I've ever experienced. What a blessing to be spared the consumerist hysteria." You laugh. It sounds like satire, but no one else is laughing. By the 28th, you run an experiment. You buy a present, a nice hardcover book, the kind no one ever reads but looks impressive on a shelf. You hand it to your friend Laura with a conspiratorial smile. Belated Christmas gift. She looks at you like you just handed her a broccoli wrapped in gold foil. Thanks. But why? Because Christmas? Oh, right. But no one did that this year. It was kind of collective, like we evolved or something. You almost snort. Evolved? Apparently, skipping gifts is now a spiritual milestone. You wander through town looking for signs of material despair. A single crying child. A frustrated adult who didn't get a spa gift set. Nothing. It's like the whole town took a low-dose tranquilizer. There's a serene, eerie calm everywhere. You go home unsettled. Stare at the Christmas tree, still standing, fully decorated. Then you notice it. A tiny detail. The lights aren't blinking. The ones programmed to flicker to silent night. They're frozen, like time stopped with them. You walk up, touch a branch. The fake pine is colder than it should be. Then behind the tree, you see it. A note, handwritten, in your own handwriting. You don't remember writing anything. You open it. It says, "This year no one will notice, and that's for the best." Signed, you. The date in the corner, December 1st. 25 days earlier. Your heart kicks up. You wrote a note to yourself, predicting Christmas, knowing no one would exchange gifts, and why can't you remember? The living room light flickers, then dies. A knock at the door, 3 times, slow, deliberate. You approach, look through the peephole, no one there, just a second note taped to the door. Phase 1 complete. Now comes the hard part. You stare at the second note, taped to the door like it's always belonged there. The handwriting is yours. Again. Same loops on the Y's. Same smug little dash in the T. But the paper feels different, thicker, colder, like it's been somewhere it shouldn't have been. You take it down slowly, flip it over, looking for a backside, a clue, a smudge. Nothing, just those 5 words. Phase 1 complete. Now comes the hard part. You glance around the porch. Nothing but wind and snow and the vague sound of wind chimes from the neighbor's yard. No footsteps, no car tracks, no witnesses. Inside, the TV's still on, playing some canned holiday movie with actors who look like they were 3D printed by a studio algorithm. 2 lovers embrace. Someone bakes a pie. It's the kind of Christmas fantasy that never forgets the presents. Except this year, reality did. You sit down, both notes in hand. One written on December 1st, one dropped like a breadcrumb on December 29th. You think, why would I plan this? Did you hate the holiday that much? Were you trying to prove something, or worse, were you not acting alone? The phrase Phase 1 echoes in your head like a door left ajar. If there's a Phase 2, does someone else know? Someone who didn't forget? You pull out your phone and type the words into a search bar. Phase 1 complete. Now comes the hard part. A few results pop up. A Reddit post from 2017 about a guy who tried quitting Christmas gifts cold turkey. A comment thread about social experiments. A conspiracy blog that hasn't been updated since 2012. But one result catches your eye. A PDF file hosted on a sketchy domain called memoryharvest.net. The file is titled The 12 Silent Days Protocol. You hesitate, then click. It opens to a page that looks like it was designed in Microsoft Word by someone who has never met graphic design. At the top, in bold red font, for participants of the 12-day unwrapping abstention trial, Phase 1, you read, and reread, and feel something cold crawl up your spine. The file outlines a bizarre experimental program that supposedly started as a joke in an obscure corner of academia. The goal? To simulate a cultural lapse in gift-giving behavior, to test how long it would take a small population to notice, and whether they'd care. Phase 1, collective amnesia, voluntary forgetfulness, aided by environmental cues. No presents, no ads, no cues to buy or expect gifts. The twist, participants wouldn't consciously know they'd joined the trial, not until after. You scroll to the bottom, a signature line, and beneath it, Participant ID 0009, Town Cluster, Pine Marrow. That's your town, your actual town. You slam your laptop shut like it's radioactive. Pine Marrow, a test group. You look around your living room, the tree, the lights, the people. Is this whole town in on something? Or is everyone else still under the spell? You step outside, gripping the notes, walking fast. Snow crunches under your boots. The sky is a low, pale grey, like a dome sealing you in. You knock on Laura's door again. She opens in fuzzy socks and a suspiciously calm face. "Hey," you say, holding up the notes. "Do these look familiar to you?" She tilts her head, reads, frowns. "They look like your handwriting." "I know, but I didn't write them. Or at least, I don't remember writing them." She leans against the doorframe. "You okay?" You want to say no. You want to ask her if she remembers anything from the first week of December. You want to scream. But she's looking at you the way people look at conspiracy theorists on the subway. So you say, "Just tired, I guess," and walk away. Back at your house, you sit in the dark. The only light is the frozen Christmas tree, still not blinking. You reread the protocol file. There's one more line at the bottom you didn't catch before. Smaller font, italicized. If you're reading this, Phase 2 has already begun. You freeze. Something changes in the air. Outside, a sound, a mechanical hum. You move to the window. Look out. In the center of the town square, there's a black delivery truck, no markings, no driver in sight. Just parked, humming softly. A single box sits in the snow behind it, wrapped in red, with your name on it. You don't remember ordering anything. You definitely didn't tell anyone where you'd be, but the box is there waiting perfectly still, like it's been waiting all along. The box doesn't move. It sits there in the snow behind the black delivery truck like it's daring you. No ribbons, just red matte paper, eerily pristine in the dirt-smeared whiteness of the sidewalk. You stand at your window for a long time, expecting someone, anyone, to walk past and claim it, or notice it, or even flinch at the fact that a perfectly wrapped box has appeared in the middle of a giftless Christmas. But no one looks twice, because no one else seems to see it. The street is quiet, too quiet. You grab your coat. As you cross the yard, the snow crunches louder than usual. You tell yourself it's just the silence, your senses overreacting. You approach the box. It has weight, realness. Your name is written on a label in black marker, not printed, not typed, handwritten. And the handwriting, it's yours, again. You check behind the truck. No one. No footprints leading away. You scan the truck for logos or plates. Nothing. It's matte black, as if it was dipped in shadow. You look back at the box. You know you shouldn't open it, but that's exactly why you do. The paper peels off with a kind of surgical precision. No rips, no resistance, like it was never really wrapped. Inside, a plain cardboard box, and inside that, a tape recorder, old school, chunky, black. With a cassette already loaded, your fingers hover over the play button, then press. It clicks, whirs, crackles, then your voice. Flat, robotic, like you recorded it underwater. If you're listening, it means you opened the gift. Phase 2 is now active. You blink. Your breath fogs in the cold. You're going to feel disoriented. That's expected, but don't panic. You volunteered, even if you don't remember. Your recorded voice pauses, then continues. There will be more boxes. Each one will arrive closer than the last. Each one will test you. A static pop. Do not throw them away. You hit stop, because your heart is racing now and your palms are sweating despite the winter. You turn around, and that's when you see it. Box number 2, on your front porch. You didn't hear it arrive, no truck, no footstep, just there. It's smaller than the first one. Wrapped identically, no ribbon, no tag, just your name, again. You walk slowly back to the porch, the tape recorder still in your hand. You pick up the second box, lighter. Feels empty. You open it. Inside, a Polaroid photograph, slightly faded, slightly cold. It's a picture of your living room, from a high angle, the kind of shot you'd get from a surveillance camera. You're in the picture, asleep on the couch, and there's someone else in the frame, standing behind the Christmas tree. Their face is obscured by a light flare, like the flash caught them at just the wrong moment. But their posture is familiar, too familiar. They're wearing your clothes, your exact clothes. You flip the photo over, written in the same marker. Day 1, you were watching. Your breath catches. You run back inside. You search the room, the corners, the ceiling, looking for a camera. Nothing. No lens, no device. Just your tree, your furniture, your paranoia. You sit down on the couch. The same one in the photo. The cushions sigh under your weight. The Christmas lights, still frozen, blink once, just once, then die again. Your phone buzzes. No name, no number. Just a message. Box 3 arrives at midnight. You must be awake. You try calling back. It doesn't ring. It doesn't even fail. It just disappears. You drop the phone. Because suddenly, something clicks into place in your memory. A flicker. A flash. You sitting in a grey room weeks ago. A woman across from you holding a clipboard. Her voice calm, deliberate. The memory suppression is temporary. You may experience bleed-through by day 3. If you decide to back out, the system will auto-correct, but we don't recommend it. You remember signing something, a waiver, a consent form, but you didn't read it. You were too tired or too curious. Back in the present, you go to your computer. You search for the 12 Silent Days protocol again. The page is gone. Memory harvest. Net is offline. Dead link, 404. No cache. as if it never existed. You open the drawer under your desk, looking for something, anything, proof, notes, clues, but instead, you find something you didn't put there. A third Polaroid. It shows your face, not scared, not confused, smiling. The smile of someone who knows exactly what's happening, exactly what's coming. Behind you in the photo, a countdown is written on a chalkboard. It reads, 9 days left. Your eyes scan the room in the picture. And you realize it's not your house. It's not any house. It's a set, a replica, perfectly designed to look like your home, which means one of two things is true. Either you were moved, or you've never actually left the experiment. You hear the click of something locking behind you. You turn, the front door bolted. From the outside, you don't scream. Not because you're calm, but because something deeper inside you knows it wouldn't matter. The door is locked from the outside. There's no keyhole, no knob on your side. Just smooth wood indifferent to your panic. You try the windows, sealed. You look for your phone, but it's gone. Not misplaced. Gone. As if it was part of the scenery, you stand still and listen. Nothing. No neighbors, no cars, no birds. Just the soft mechanical hum you now recognize too well. The sound of staged silence. You look up. There, in the ceiling, you spot it. A square outline. Subtle. Perfectly flush with the ceiling. A hatch. You drag a chair underneath. Stand up. Reach. Fingers graze metal. It's not locked, just waiting. You push. It creaks open. Inside, not an attic. Something colder. You see wires, conduits, and one blinking red light. You climb up. Crawling through, you find a narrow tunnel. Industrial. Functional. It leads you 10 feet forward, and then down. You emerge into a hallway. Fluorescent lighting. Grey walls. No decorations. No family photos. No holiday warmth. This is not your house. It's not anyone's house, it's a set. You double back, peek into the room you just left. You see the Christmas tree, the couch, the fireplace. But now from this angle, from the outside, it's obvious. The walls are only a few feet thick. The corners don't connect. The windows lead to nowhere. It's a stage. And you've been living in a simulation of your own life. Your own Christmas. But why? You hear a sound. Footsteps. Fast. Light. Coming closer. You duck into a side room. Dark. Cold. You press your back against the wall. A shadow passes the hallway. Then silence again. You exhale. And then you notice. This room has mirrors. 3 walls. Floor to ceiling. You step closer. Look at yourself. Except it's not exactly you. The reflections are wrong. Each version of you is standing in a slightly different posture, smiling slightly differently, wearing slightly different clothes. One looks older. One has a scar above their eye. One is wearing the outfit you wore on Christmas Eve 3 years ago. You stare, and they stare back. Then one of them blinks. Only one. You step back. There's a console in the corner, a screen, green text on black background. You approach. The screen flickers, then types on its own. Welcome back, participant Damara09. Memory reintroduction level, 43%. Emotional authenticity, threshold, surpassed. Phase 2. Progress, ahead of schedule. You don't touch anything, but it continues. Would you like to review your audition tape? You freeze. Audition? Another prompt appears, YN. You whisper, yes. The screen goes black, then flickers into a grainy video. There you are, sitting in a sterile chair, smiling awkwardly, nervous. A voice off camera asks, why do you want to participate in the Silent Days initiative? Your on-screen self says, I want to feel something real again. Christmas used to mean something. Now it's just debt and pressure. I want to know who I am when no one gives me anything. You cringe. Because you remember this now, the intake form, the signature, the pre-interview with the clipboard lady. But what you don't remember is what happened next. The screen cuts to black, then to static, then to a final frame. Your face, eyes closed, hooked up to something, monitors beeping, asleep. Underneath, a label, SIM host chamber. 9. Active. The feed cuts out. Your breath fogs the glass as you step closer to the mirror. You tap it, solid. You pound it. It doesn't budge. Behind you, the console beeps. One final message. Box number 4 has arrived. Proceed to set room B. You turn. And suddenly the hallway door is open, lit, inviting. You know you should run. You know none of this makes sense. But curiosity pulls harder than fear. You step out. And there it is. Another living room. Almost identical to yours. But this one is wrong. The decorations are reversed. The tree is on the left side. The stockings hang in a different order. The photos on the wall are of you, but with different people, a different life. And in the center of the room, box number 4. You approach, hands shaking. You peel the paper back. Inside, a snow globe. You shake it. The snow inside swirls, slowly revealing a miniature version of this room, including you. Standing exactly where you are, inside the globe. Tiny, you lifts its hand and waves. The tiny version of you inside the snow globe doesn't stop waving. It moves with eerie precision, right hand swaying side to side like a doll caught in a loop. The gesture is polite, mechanical, disturbingly cheerful. You put the globe down carefully, step back. Your real hand trembles. The air in set room B is different, stale like a windowless bunker trying to imitate fresh pine. And though the Christmas lights here are blinking, unlike yours, they flash out of rhythm, spasming in erratic bursts, like a corrupted memory of joy. You sit on the couch. The fabric is identical to your real one. Same coffee stain on the armrest. Same tear on the back cushion, except you don't remember tearing it here, because you're not in your home. You're in a copy of it, a copy inside a machine. The walls vibrate slightly now, like something massive is running behind them. Engines, hydraulics. Whatever it is, the set around you is humming like it's being rebooted. You look at the snow globe again. Inside, the miniature you stops waving. Now it's just staring at you. You lean closer, squinting. And there, behind Mini You, is a second figure, blurred, standing at the far edge of the globe. Almost imperceptible. You shake it again. The snow swirls, resettles. The figure is gone. A speaker crackles above you. Static spits, then a voice. Your voice. Hello again. You freeze. The tape recorder is still in your pocket. Off. This is live. By now, you've probably realized the experiment isn't about forgetting gifts. The voice sounds older, tired, but amused. It's about what fills the space after you forget them. What happens when you remove ritual, expectation, validation. You look around. No cameras in sight, but the room itself feels like an eye. Phase 1 erased the reflex, the automatic gift exchange compulsion. Phase 2 measures what replaces it. You stand, back slowly toward the door. It slams shut. Sit down. You hesitate. Please, you'll want to hear this part. You sit. The snow globe rattles on the table by itself, just once. There are more of you, the voice says. Dozens, maybe hundreds, each living a slightly different simulation. One version chose to leave. One burned everything. One didn't open the first box. Most don't make it past box 4. Your heart pounds. But you're special, you're curious. You ask the right questions. You dig. You stare at the ceiling. Who are you? Silence. Then, I'm you. Future you. Or at least the version that made it to phase 12. You laugh, it's short, bitter. Phase 12? Yes, we never really stopped after the 12 days. That was just the pitch. Turns out if you make people believe a simulation ends after Christmas, they relax. They cooperate. You cover your face with your hands. This isn't a prank. It's a philosophy experiment that metastasized into something else, a recursive loop of self-observation and feedback. You whisper, why? Because Christmas was perfect cover, the voice says. A shared cultural hallucination, dense with emotion, predictable, scriptable, and deeply hollow. A click. A screen lights up on the wall in front of you. It shows a bird's eye view of Pine Marrow, tiny cars, snow, blinking lights. You thought you were rebelling against consumerism, the voice continues. You were the control group, the ones who signed up to unplug. But when we removed the gifts, the screen zooms in. Your house, the tree inside. You replace them with observation, ritual turned inward. The footage changes. You, watching yourself in the mirror room. You, climbing through the hatch. You, opening the boxes, each time slower than the last. You became your own gift. Your throat tightens. Am I still in Pine Marrow? Silence. Am I even awake? The voice softens. You're in the Pine Marrow Memory Simulation Facility. Room C009. Your body is safe. But you haven't been conscious since December 2nd. You stare at the floor, December 2nd. That's before you remembered anything, before you saw the first note, before the empty tree. It means everything since then has been dreamt or designed. You ask the only question that makes sense. How do I wake up? Static. Then, you don't. Your chest sinks. You graduate. The snow globe begins to glow faintly. Soft light pulses from inside it, like a heartbeat. Find the final box. Open it. Complete phase 3, then we talk. The voice cuts off. You're alone again. The lights flicker, then dim, then pulse in sync with the snow globe. You reach out and touch the globe. Cold, too cold. And in an instant, you're back in your living room. Your real one. Except it's not snowing anymore. The sky outside is red-orange, glowing with something that doesn't belong to winter. You look at the tree. Still, unlit. The boxes are gone. All of them. But on the floor at the center of the room where your coffee table used to be is a black envelope, unmarked. You pick it up. Inside, a single sheet of paper. On it, congratulations, you've completed phase 2. A second line, time to unwrap yourself. You hear a sound behind you, not footsteps, breathing. You turn. And there, sitting on the couch, staring directly at you, is you. Same clothes, same face, same expression. Except the other, you smiles, and lifts a box. Box number 5, holds it out. And says in your exact voice, your turn to open. You don't take the box at first, you just stare. Because nothing about this moment feels possible. Not the stillness, not the couch, not the way your doppelganger tilts their head, inviting you without forcing it. Like a dream that knows it's being watched. They look exactly like you. Too exactly. Same scar on the knuckle, same tired eyes, same hesitation frozen in the shoulders, like they've been carrying a weight you can't see. You glance down at their hands. They're holding box number 5 gently, reverently, as if it's fragile, as if it might break you. Who are you? You ask. Their smile is slow, familiar. I'm the version of you that didn't resist, they say. The one who opened everything without questions. You squint. So you're ahead of me in the simulation. A pause, then, no, not exactly. I'm beside you. You glance around the room. It's your living room, yes, but warmer, richer in tone. The colors are just slightly too saturated. The shadows linger longer in corners they shouldn't. This place isn't real. You reach for the box, then stop. I need to know what's in it before I open it. The other you shrugs. That's not how it works. The contents depend on who opens it. Is it a trap? They smirk. If it is, it's one you built. That line lands with a strange weight. You take the box. It's heavier than the others, solid. A compact cube wrapped in black satin paper. With no seams, no tag, no timestamp, you hold it in your lap. The other you watches, eyes sharp. You hesitate, then start to unwrap. But the paper doesn't tear. It melts. Your fingers dissolve it like ash between them. Inside, a mirror. A small square mirror set in black velvet. Not a toy mirror, not decorative. Heavy, cold, almost ceremonial. You hold it up. But the reflection staring back isn't what you expect. It's not you now. It's you as a child, 7, maybe 8, wearing a holiday sweater, eyes wide, holding a crayon drawing of a gift, poorly wrapped crooked bow drawn with love. The reflection doesn't move in sync. It moves on its own. Little you smiles, holds up the drawing closer, presses it against the glass, then speaks. Do you remember what it was like before the gifts got complicated? You blink. Your adult self, the one across from you, leans forward. This is the test, they say. It's not about forgetting Christmas. It's about remembering who you were without it. You keep staring into the mirror. The child version of you is now looking around, confused, alone. The background behind them is a classroom, or maybe a memory of one. They whisper, so softly you almost miss it. Why did we stop being excited? A tear slides down your cheek. You don't know. You honestly don't know. You look at the box again. It's empty now. No compartments, no instruction. Just the mirror. And then something shifts. Your surroundings flicker. For a second, you're not in the cozy living room anymore. You're in a white room, clinical, silent. Monitors line the walls. Electrodes pulse in blue rhythm on a screen marked Subject 009, Memory Recovery 62%. You see yourself, asleep, lying on a bed, wired up. You reach for the mirror again. The child, you, is gone. Now, staring back, is someone you don't recognize. A version of you that looks free, unburdened, wearing no holiday symbols. No metaphors, no expectations, just you, untouched by nostalgia, routine, or ritual. They lean forward in the mirror, speak with calm clarity. Let go of the loop. The lights above you buzz. You're back in the living room simulation. Your counterpart is standing now, still calm. They hold out something else, a remote control, black, simple. One red button. You hesitate. What happens if I press it? Their voice is soft. You exit, for real. No more layers, no more simulations. Just whatever's left of the world when you stop watching yourself live in it. And if I don't? They shrug. You keep going. Open box 6. Watch more versions of yourself. Maybe you even make it to phase 12, the final understanding. You stare at the button. It glows faintly, like it's breathing. Your hand trembles. You're not sure if it's fear or relief, because suddenly, all the boxes, all the instructions, all the scripted silences, they've led to this moment, the choice to stop. Not to win, not to finish, just to walk out. You whisper, "Did you press it?" The other, you looks down, then nods. And? They smile, a real one. No irony, no performance. I stopped needing Christmas to know who I was. You grip the remote. You remember Christmases where you cried because someone didn't give you what you wanted. You remember overthinking every gift you gave. You remember the crushing silence of the day after, when everything was unwrapped and nothing felt different. Maybe this was the gift, not the boxes, not the simulation, the space it made for you to see. You press the button. There's no sound, no dramatic fade out, just stillness. And then you wake up on a hospital bed, sunlight in your eyes. A nurse gasps. "Subject 9 is conscious." Voices echo. Footsteps rush in. Machines beep. You sit up slowly. Every muscle aches. Someone in a lab coat speaks to you, too quickly, too excitedly, but you can't hear them. Not yet. Because all you hear is your own breath, real, present. And outside the window, snow is falling, unscripted. No lights, no tree, no soundtrack, just snow. You smile. Not because it's Christmas, because it's not. You're awake. The real kind, or so they tell you. Doctors with clipboards move like choreography around your bed. Machines beep in sync with your breath. A nurse whispers, "He's stable." You want to ask her what that means. You want to ask stable compared to who? The sunlight outside your window glows soft gold across snow-covered branches. It's beautiful, too beautiful. You squint. The scene doesn't move. Not the wind, not the trees, not even the falling snow. You blink, still static. You sit up straighter. Outside the window, the snow is frozen in midair. Not falling, not rising. Just suspended, like confetti caught in a paused film. You look around. No one else notices. A doctor's voice breaks through. You've been under for 25 days. The experiment succeeded. Your body's intact. Your brain patterns show full reintegration. You nod, slowly. But inside, something twists. 25 days. Just long enough to forget a tradition, to reset an expectation, to reprogram a ritual. What about the others, you ask? The doctor glances at a chart. Subjects 001 through 008 have either exited or been removed. You're the last, the only one to complete the cycle. You try to remember their faces, but there are none, just echoes, shadows from dream boxes. Where are they now? Unknown, the doctor says. Some vanished post-exit. One erased themselves from our network. One, he trails off, became someone else entirely. You look at your hands. They feel like yours. But do they? Another doctor walks in. Older, confident, less clinical. No clipboard. You recognize her immediately. The woman from the pre-interview, clipboard lady. She smiles, not cold. Not warm either. The smile of someone who knows you better than you remember. You did it, she says. You unwrapped yourself. You say nothing. She leans in slightly. Do you know what most people do right after phase 2? You shake your head. They look for meaning. They try to rebuild the illusion, put the ribbons back on. You glance at the static snow. Was that part of it too, you ask? Her smile thins. We had to simulate something to help your brain cross the exit threshold. Snow is deeply tied to your memory of Christmas. It's not real, but it helps you believe in what is. You stare out the window again. The snow begins to fall, all at once. Unfreezing like a skipped frame, suddenly resuming. And with it, a strange thought. Maybe none of it ever stopped. She hands you a manila envelope, no label, just thick and warm from her hands. You open it. Inside, a photo of you, standing in front of your childhood home, holding a gift, not a box, a child, yourself. 8 years old, the same age you saw in the mirror. You blink. You remember this moment, vaguely, but you remember being the child, not the adult. This isn't real, you say. The woman shakes her head. No, it is. That's the problem. You scan the back of the photo. There's handwriting. We keep wrapping the same day until someone notices it's been opened before. Below it, Pine Marrow. December 27th, 1997. You stare at the date. You were 8 years old. That was the year nobody showed up for Christmas. No cousins, no uncles, no dinner. Just you and a tree and your first real sadness. That's when you started giving gifts more than receiving. Trying to fix something. Trying to fill a silence you didn't understand. Now you're starting to. Clipboard lady stands. It's up to you what comes next, she says. You've been unplugged. There is no phase 3 unless you create it. You almost laugh. That's the trick, isn't it? You say. We're always unwrapping something. She nods, then leaves without another word. You get dressed. Your clothes feel slightly too tight, like they belong to someone you used to be. You're discharged in silence. No ceremony, no gift bag, not even a discharge form. You walk outside. The hospital vanishes behind you, not literally. It just doesn't matter anymore. You don't look back. The town looks the same. Pine Marrow, but emptier. Not physically. People walk the streets, stores are open, someone's burning firewood, but something deeper feels gone, like the background music was turned off. You step into the coffee shop on Main. The barista is wiping the counter, humming Silent Night. Instrumental. You order a tea. No one asks where you've been. No happy holidays. No, how was your Christmas? You sip your tea. Watch the window. Outside, the snow continues. Real this time. Sloppy. Wet. Not perfect. You catch your reflection in the glass. Still you, but quieter. And then you see something across the street, in the alley between the hardware store and the old bookstore. A flash of red, a box, unwrapped, sitting alone. You rise, tea forgotten. Cross the street. The box is plain, cardboard, taped shut, no name. You crouch beside it, and written in marker, "This isn't for you." You pause, then stand. Because finally, you understand. You don't need to open it. Not every mystery is a gift. Some are boundaries. You walk away. Behind you, the box remains untouched, honest. You keep walking until you reach the park. Children are playing in the slush, throwing snowballs that don't stick, laughing anyway. One girl waves at you. You wave back, and for the first time in years, you feel it. Presence. Not nostalgia, not anticipation, not the ache of unboxing something that won't fix anything. Just now, you sit on a bench. Let the silence settle. No carols. No lists, no performance. The season ends, and you let it. You don't move for a long time. Just sit there on the cold bench in the middle of a half-thawed park, surrounded by the smell of wet pine and the distant sound of dogs barking somewhere too far to see. The children have scattered, the snow has slowed, and the sky has begun to fold into evening. The box across the street, the one labeled, "This isn't for you," stays put. And somehow, that comforts you. You thought freedom would feel louder, like a parade of clarity, a siren of purpose. But instead it feels like this, quiet, directionless, unadorned, still. You wonder if that's what Christmas was meant to be before it mutated into a loop of purchases, pressure, and performance. Maybe the original gift was stillness. You lean back against the bench, close your eyes, and for a brief, strange moment, you feel something like peace. Not the cinematic kind, the awkward, unphotogenic kind. The kind that doesn't need to be shared or posted. And then, a sound, a chair scraping concrete. You open your eyes. Someone is sitting next to you on the bench. You didn't hear them approach, didn't feel them sit. But they're there, middle-aged, unremarkable, dressed in a grey coat with a pin that looks vaguely familiar. You don't look directly at them. You just say, "You with the experiment?" They exhale slowly. "No." And yes. Their voice is genderless, flat but kind. "Technically, we ended it when you pressed the button." You turn slightly. The pin on their coat, it's the same spiral symbol that was engraved on the first mirror you opened back in box number 5. Except this one is white on black. Why am I still being followed? Because you're still asking questions. You laugh quietly. And if I stop? You stop seeing us. You study their profile. They look familiar. Not like someone you know, but like someone from a crowd scene in a dream you forgot. They tap the bench gently. The 12 silent days protocol wasn't about memory, it was about meaning. Subtract enough noise, and eventually you hear the real question. You fold your arms. And what's the real question? They smile, thin and tired. What would you do with a holiday if no one told you what it was for? That one lands. You don't answer. Not because you can't, but because you don't want to answer it wrong. The person reaches into their coat and pulls out a folded piece of paper. Not an envelope, just a single sheet. They place it beside you like a waiter leaving a check. Then they stand and say, "You've got until midnight," and walk away. You don't stop them. You don't call out. You just wait until they're gone. Then open the paper. At the top, your name. Below it, one sentence. You may now choose to rewrite the holiday. There's a checklist below it. Blank boxes next to a list of elements. Tree gifts, family, faith, food. Silence, music story. Absence, fire, memory, future. Other. Right. You stare at the list. Each word buzzes in your chest like a riddle. No instructions, no limits, just space. You don't check anything, not yet. You fold the paper and put it in your pocket. Across the park, the last child leaves. Their laughter fades, and you're alone again. Except, you're not. Behind you somewhere, someone is humming. A song with no lyrics. Just a low melody, nostalgic, haunting, unfinished. You rise from the bench and follow the sound. It leads you down a narrow path behind the church, a place you haven't walked since childhood. Your feet remember it better than your mind. The humming grows louder, warmer, until you see it. A campfire, real, flickering, unattended. And beside it, sitting on a stone, is someone else. Not grey coat, not clipboard, someone younger. Your age, maybe younger. Wearing boots too big and a sweater with holes in the sleeves, they're humming the song. When they see you, they smile. You made it further than the rest. You sit across from them, the fire between you both. I thought it was over, you say. It is, they reply. But over is where some things start. They pull something from their coat, a photograph. They hand it to you. You expect another version of yourself. But it's not. It's the first Christmas you don't remember. You as a baby wrapped in a blanket. Two adults blurred behind you, one holding a mug, the other reaching for something off camera. No tree, no lights, just the faint imprint of joy. You trace the photo's edge. What is this? Your origin point, they say. Before the rituals, before the forgetting. You hand it back. They tuck it into their coat. Then they ask the question no one has asked yet. What do you want now? You open your mouth, then close it, because you're afraid. Not of the answer, of the permission. You whisper, "Can I want nothing?" They nod. Nothing is sacred, nothing is allowed. That's the secret. You stare into the fire. Its warmth is unearned, but welcome. You take out the checklist, stare at the empty boxes. You finally tick one, not tree, not gifts, not family. You check silence. The figure across the fire sees it, smiles. That's a good start. Then rises, walks away without sound, leaving you and the fire. And the silence you asked for. You sit alone with the fire for what feels like hours. At first the flames speak, in the way fire always does, cracking like old vinyl, exhaling heat, dancing for no one in particular. You watch the smoke thread up into the dark grey sky, disappearing into stars that haven't been visible for days. And still, no one returns. Not the person with the grey coat, not the child with the box, not the humming figure from the trail. The silence stretches, expands, and begins to feel artificial. You shift on the stone, rub your hands together, look over your shoulder. Nothing moves, which is when you notice it. There's no sound at all, not even the wind, not even your own breath. You inhale sharply just to hear something, but it's muffled, like cotton stuffed in your ears. The fire burns, silently. The snow falls, silently. Your own thoughts begin to echo. You rise, walk in a slow circle, snap your fingers near your ears. Nothing. Then, a flicker. At the edge of the firelight, the shadows pulse. You freeze. One of them moves, not like a person, not like an animal. It unfolds, like origami reversing, and becomes a figure, human-shaped, but hazy, as if sculpted from dust and bad reception. It steps into the light. No face. Just suggestion. You take a step back. The silence grows heavier. Pressure builds in your head like altitude sickness. Like sound wants to return but can't break through. The figure raises one arm, extends a hand. Inside it, box number 6, wrapped in pale bone-white paper. No ribbon, just a single black dot drawn in the center. You shake your head. No. Your own voice is hollow, like you're underwater. The figure doesn't respond, just holds the box steady, waiting. You say again, louder this time. I already finished. I pressed the button. I chose. The figure lowers its head, then places the box on the ground and steps backward, melting into the dark, like fog being vacuumed from the edges of a dream. You're alone again, except for the box. You walk around it like it's radioactive. Part of you wants to kick it into the fire. Burn it. End the game. But another part of you knows, if you touch it, you reset everything. Silence. Fire. Pressure. And now, inside your head, a memory stirs. A conversation in a room you've never been to. Or maybe you have. A voice, female maybe. Calm. Participants who attempt to exit early often remanifest test environments within 3 days. Why, you hear yourself ask from far away. The simulation leaves a residue like ink in the veins. If not flushed, it reboots. You crouch near the box. Don't touch it. Not yet. But your reflection stares back at you in the shiny white wrapping. You see something in your own eyes that you hadn't seen before. Fear of peace, not danger, not conflict, just stillness. Because stillness, when you're used to noise, starts to feel like threat. You sit again and try to ignore it. But the box doesn't vanish. An hour passes, then another. Then the fire dies. The world dims. You lie down in the snow, exhausted. Let your breath rise in visible clouds above you. You don't sleep. You wait. And eventually, sleep waits back. You dream. Not of Christmas. Not of childhood. You dream of a room made entirely of gift wrap. Walls, floor, ceiling, all different patterns. Shiny, tacky, cartoonish. You're trapped inside it. Every time you tear the walls, they wrap around you again. Saran wrapping your arms, legs, mouth. You wake up choking. But you're not in snow anymore. You're back in your house again. The lights are dim. The tree is up. The same ornaments. The same positioning. You sit up slowly, heart pounding. Your hands are holding something. You already know what it is. Box number 6. Still white. Still unmarked. You set it on the coffee table and step back. No, you whisper. I said no. But the room stays the same, as if it never heard you. You try to leave her, but the door is bricked shut, not locked, bricked. You touch the bricks, cold, real. You run to the window. Same thing, brick behind glass. You spin around. The room hasn't changed, but the air has. It smells different. Not pine, plastic, burned plastic. You move closer to the tree. It's made of paper, no branches, just stacked layers of green folders. You pull one off. Inside, a sheet. It reads, Exit cancelled, loop restored, phase 2, never completed. Below that, unopened box detected. You collapse to your knees. Your voice cracks. What do you want from me? And then, for the first time in hours, the silence breaks. A speaker crackles from the ceiling. One word, in that same neutral voice, obedience. You start to laugh. The bitter, exhausted laugh of someone who just realized freedom was part of the test all along. You crawl toward the box. You hold it in your hands again. You don't open it. You speak to it. I want out. For real this time. The box shudders. The paper unseals itself, and inside, instead of a gift, is a button, same as before. Red, simple, waiting. You press it without hesitation. The room implodes, silently. All the walls collapse into pixels, then into lines, then into a single black dot. And then, you're gone. You awaken. Again. But this time, there is no bed, no room, no window, no sky. Just black. Not darkness. Black. The absence of reference. You float, or stand, or hover. You can't tell. There's no floor beneath you, no weight in your body, not even the sound of your own heartbeat. This isn't a dream, it's worse. It's the space before dreams. The preloading screen of existence. And then, a voice. Familiar. Not because it's yours, because it's been watching you. Welcome to Loopback. A single white square appears ahead, glowing like an off-brand portal. You have attempted to exit the 12 Silent Days protocol without full cognitive debrief. You try to speak, but your mouth has no air, no shape. The voice continues. Participant 009, you have demonstrated high-level pattern resistance, but residual recursion has been detected. A pause. We must now test for artificial awakening. The square expands. And suddenly, you're in a chair. Metal. Cold. You blink. You have eyes again. Across from you, A screen. It flickers to life. You expect footage, another mirror, but instead, it's a questionnaire. Text appears, line by line. Internal Validation Interface v9.8. Please answer truthfully. What is your full name? What year is it? Do you believe Christmas happened this year? Do you believe you received a gift? Do you believe you were the gift? The cursor blinks after the fifth question. You reach forward, unsure what will happen, and type, "I'm not answering that." The screen blinks. Then, response recorded. Non-compliance. Your chair vibrates slightly. Then the screen vanishes. You are alone again, but not floating. You're standing in snow. The town is back, Pine Marrow, exactly as you remember it. Mid-December, streetlights blinking, coffee shop steaming. Except it's silent. No people, no movement, and this time, no music. You walk Main Street, peek into windows. Shops are fully stocked, cakes on display, gifts wrapped, coats lined up in rows. But there's no one to sell them, no one to buy. You find the church, push open the doors. Inside, the pews are filled, not with people, with mannequins. Dressed in holiday clothing, heads tilted just slightly too far. Some hold hymnals, some clasp hands in plastic prayer, and standing at the pulpit, you, again. But different, wearing all black. No expression. Your double raises one hand, speaks. But it's not your voice, it's hers. Clipboard lady. We invited you to leave the ritual. You stayed to critique it. You try to speak. Nothing comes out. You thought you escaped the loop by choosing silence. But silence is still a choice inside the loop. The mannequins begin to stand, one by one, silently. You back toward the exit. Your double steps down from the pulpit. Walks slowly, purposefully. You asked the wrong question, she says. You kept asking, "What is this?" instead of asking, "Why do I need it to be real?" You whisper, finally finding your voice. What happens if I stop believing in any of it? She stops walking and says, "Then you start creating it." The church vanishes. The pews. The mannequins, the snow. All of it sucked backward like a cassette tape rewinding too fast. You stand now in a library, but not any library. Your memory of a library, the one from your high school, musty carpet, too much beige. You walk the aisles. Every book on the shelves has your name on the spine. Some are thick, some are barely pamphlets. You pull one at random. December 25th. Expectations managed poorly. Another. Box number 3 and the illusion of choice. Another. The year without gifts, and what was never missing. You sit in one of the old reading chairs, open a book, but the pages are blank. Then one line appears. You are not a participant anymore. You blink. The sentence disappears, replaced by, "You are the observer." You drop the book, stand, look up. Above you, the ceiling flickers like an old CRT screen, and you realize this isn't a test anymore. This is the authoring phase. They've given you the controls, and you haven't used them yet. Another book catches your eye. Lying open on the floor, pages turning on their own. You read, Day 1. No one noticed there were no gifts. Day 2. Someone started talking at dinner and no one interrupted. Day 3. The town fell quieter, not sadder. Day 4. The snow fell and no one tried to record it. Day 5. They played a game that had no winner. Day 6. Someone gave without giving. Day 7. They forgot the rules. Day 8. They remembered the feeling. Day 9. Someone said nothing and was heard. Day 10. The light stayed off and no one minded. Day 11. Someone laughed and didn't ask why. Day 12. The calendar didn't flip. The day just ended. You turn the page. It's blank. At the top corner, a blinking cursor. Waiting. You feel something in your pocket. You reach in. It's the checklist from the park. Still folded. Still half blank. You open it. The boxes you didn't tick. They're now grayed out. All except one. Other. And beneath it a blinking line, like it's waiting for you to name something new. You pick up the pen that's appeared beside you, hold it over the line. You whisper to yourself, "This is the gift, isn't it? Not escape, not truth, but authorship." You hesitate, pen poised above the empty line. Other. The only option left. Not tree, not gifts, not family, not even silence. Just the raw, blank possibility of you choosing something that has never existed. You try to write a word, anything, but your hand shakes, because now for the first time there's no script, no test, no observer, just you. You look up. The library, your memory of it, begins to flicker. The ceiling pulses like a dying thought. Books rearrange themselves on shelves, titles shifting mid-glance. You close your eyes and finally write, "Permission." The second you finish the word, the checklist vanishes from your hands, evaporates into a fine mist of letters and static. The library is gone. You're standing now in a white hallway, sterile, silent. There are 12 doors, each marked by a number, 1 through 12. No windows, no handles, just numbers, painted in perfect red. You walk to the first door. As you approach, the number flickers, becomes a phrase. The day no one noticed. You don't enter. You've lived that one. You move to the second. The day they listened. Then the third. The day it wasn't posted. Each door is a memory, or a wish, or a test you already passed without knowing it. But when you reach door 13, one that wasn't there a moment ago, everything changes. No number, no phrase, just a mirror. You stare at it. No distortion, no glitching. Just your reflection. But it's not you from now, it's you from before the boxes, before the silence, before the unraveling. You see your own face, trying to believe in a holiday that hasn't meant anything in years. Tired, polite, carrying gifts out of obligation. Smiling like it's still magic. This version of you is older than your age, because belief ages us. It weighs. You raise a hand. Your reflection does the same. Then it speaks, not with your voice, with everyone's voice, layered, endless. The sound of every version of you stitched into one. Do you still need it? The question lands harder than any cliffhanger, any revelation, any glitch in the matrix, because you know what it is, not Christmas, not even the experiment. But the illusion that there's something to solve, that if you unwrap enough layers you'll find clarity, meaning, redemption. You whisper, "No," and the mirror cracks. Not violently, not theatrically. It fractures in a slow, spiraling pattern, like glass sighing under pressure it can't carry anymore. You walk through it, not into another room, into your house. Again. But this time it's different. The tree is gone. No decorations, no simulation, just the raw layout of your living room. Honest and unthemed, you walk to the window. It's snowing, messily, no pattern, the kind of snow that ruins plans and delights no one, and somehow that's comforting. On the coffee table, a mug of something hot, steam rising. You didn't make it. But no one else is here. You sit, sip. It's not cocoa, not cider, just hot water, and it's enough. You glance at the clock. 11:59 p.m., the last minute of what should have been Christmas Day, the day no one gave you anything. The day you didn't give either, the day everything paused. And for the first time in your life, you feel no panic, no shame, no ghost of expectations unmet. The clock ticks over, 12 a.m., December 26th, and nothing happens, no confetti, no reset, no epilogue from the system. Just the next minute, the one after a holiday that forgot itself. You breathe, and suddenly you understand the purpose of box number 6, not to trick you, not to test you, but to give you a chance to decline participation. And you did. That was your gift. Across the room, your phone buzzes. The first time it's done that in days, maybe weeks. You walk over. The screen reads, "Unknown caller." You answer. No one speaks at first. Then, a child's voice, soft, familiar. "Did it work?" You swallow. "Yeah," you say. I think it did. A pause. Then, what do you want to do next year? The question slices through you, because for the first time, it doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like freedom. You say the only thing that feels true, I don't know yet, but I want to decide in real time. The line clicks, ends. You set the phone down and go outside, into the mess of melted snow and muddy boots and broken branches, the aftermath of something unperformed. And it feels real. A neighbor walks by, she doesn't wave, you don't either. And that's okay, because you're not in the mood to perform connection today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next year. You walk to the middle of the street. Stand under a flickering lamp. No music plays, no cameras turn, no final gift appears, just you and your breath. And the blank page of December 26th. You look up at the sky. It's not perfect, but it's yours. You wake up on December 27th. No alarms, no messages, no pressure. The air is cold in the way only real air can be. Cutting, flawed, full of scent. You can smell old radiator heat and something metallic from the street, like snow trying to turn into rain and failing halfway. You stretch. The sheets are heavy, the kind your grandmother used. Not ergonomic, not designed, just there. You wander to the kitchen. No coffee has been brewed. No gifts line the counter. No leftovers wait in foil. Just silence, soft and ambient. Not the thick silence of a controlled room, but the kind that belongs to early mornings in small towns. The town hasn't woken up yet. Or maybe it has, and no one's in a rush anymore. You put on your coat. The one with the broken zipper you still haven't fixed. It feels right. Not symbolic, just true. Outside, snow has hardened into slush, the kind that turns sidewalks into cautionary tales. You walk slowly. No headphones, no phone in your hand, and that's when you hear it. A bell, soft, faint, ringing once, then again. It's coming from downtown. You follow it, past shuttered shops with fogged windows, past a man walking his dog who doesn't nod or smile. He just is. You envy that. The calmness of existing without the need to perform it. The bell rings a third time. You turn the corner, and there it is, the old cinema, Pine Marrow Picture House. Closed for renovations since 2018, the marquee still says, "Coming soon." Only today, it's lit. A single word appears on the screen above the doors. Recap. You blink. That word again. You've seen it in every interface they ever used on you. On the tablets, on the doors, on the mirrors. Always before something ends, or begins again. The doors are unlocked. Of course they are. You step inside. The air smells like mothballs and stale popcorn. The kind of air that has memories in it. Inside, the main theater glows with amber light. Velvet seats, dust suspended like fog. You're alone. Except you're not. On the screen, static. Then a flicker. And then, you. Not live. Not mirrored. Recorded. Your face, projected 30 feet tall, saying, "I just want to feel something real again. Christmas used to mean something." You sink into the nearest seat. The footage keeps playing. All of it, every phase. You opening box number 1. You standing in the mirror room. You watching the snow freeze mid-air. All of it. Someone recorded everything. Every breath. Every pause. Every decision you thought was yours. And now you're watching it like a documentary of a person you no longer recognize. But here's the worst part. There's an audience. They begin to appear, seat by seat, row by row. Not people, versions of you, from different points in the journey. One wears the coat from your high school graduation. Another wears the clothes from your first day of work. One looks 12. One looks elderly. They sit without speaking, watching the same screen, watching you. You try to stand. You can't. Not because you're restrained, but because something inside you needs to finish watching. The footage catches up. You're watching last night now, your finger hovering over the checklist, writing permission, the mirror shattering, box number 6 disappearing. Your final walk into the street. Then the screen goes black and a question appears. Do you still believe it's over? A cursor blinks, waiting. The other yous turn their heads toward you. Simultaneously, you whisper, "Yes." The screen replies, "You said that last time." The air shifts, the lights flicker, and the cinema peels open. The walls crack, revealing gears, wires, not blood and bone construction, but stagecraft. This place was always a set, even the real parts. Especially the real parts. A voice echoes through the theater, not clipboard lady, not your voice, something deeper, older. "You have reached the limit of denial. Welcome to phase 0, you scream, not out of fear, out of exhaustion. "How many phases are there?" The voice answers. "As many as you need to believe you've escaped." The screen shows something else now, a live feed of someone waking up. You squint. It's not you, it's someone new, different face, different body. But the same hospital bed, same setup, same electrodes. A doctor whispers in the background, "Subject 010 is entering cognitive reintegration." You realize what you're seeing. The next participant, the next story. You were never the only one. You were just one of the 12. You stand, walk to the aisle. The other yous stay seated, blinking in rhythm. You walk up to the screen. Put your hand on it. It's warm, almost breathing. A whisper slides under the noise. Not from the screen. From inside you. It's not about forgetting the holiday. It's about what the holiday forgot about you. You press your palm harder to the screen, and everything melts. The theater, the snow, the slush, even the versions of you. Gone. You're standing in a white room, just one thing in front of you. Box number 7. Box number 7 is small. Too small to contain anything of significance. Too precise to be casual. Wrapped in matte black, sealed with a single word etched in white. "Do not open." You stare at it. Alone in the white room. No windows, no doors, no sound, just this box. It rests on a floating pedestal like it's the last idea left in the universe. You don't touch it. Not yet. Because now you recognize the pattern. Every box led you further into belief, into recursion, into the idea that there was always another layer to strip away. But this one is doing something different. It's resisting you. The first instruction you've been given in a long time, do not open. And you're not sure if it's a warning or a dare. You circle it, 3 steps to the left, 3 to the right. It doesn't respond. No hum, no vibration, no blinking lights. Just presence. A box that seems bored of being a box. You whisper, "Is this the last one?" Nothing. You ask again, louder. Silence. Then a faint sound. Behind you. You turn. The room has changed. 12 chairs have appeared, each occupied by someone. You, again. But this time, not just versions. Critics. They don't move. Don't speak. Just watch you. One of them is holding a clipboard. Another holds a cracked mirror. One is wearing a Santa hat. Ironically. You step toward them. They stay silent. Then one of them blinks and says, "Why are you still opening boxes?" You hesitate. "I'm trying to finish." Another one, older, rougher, leans forward. "Finish what?" You look back at the box. The words on the top have changed. Now it reads, "Explain yourself." You turn slowly, realize what this is. It's not the final box, it's the first real one. Not a gift, not a test, not a symbol, an invitation to accountability. You whisper, "I didn't mean for this to happen." The critics don't blink. The one with the mirror lifts it, shows you your face. You look exhausted, feral, determined. The version of you holding the clipboard speaks. This all began because you were tired of receiving the wrong gift. So you engineered a world where no one received anything at all. You step back. "No. I just wanted a break." You wanted control. You turn toward the box. The words change again. Authored by... A blinking cursor. You stare at it, then write, "Me." Instantly the lights dim. The air thickens. The critics stand one by one and walk toward the box. You move aside. They form a circle around it, hands at their sides, heads tilted slightly toward the pedestal, as if praying or judging. You ask, "What happens if I open it?" They answer in unison, "You already did." The box unfolds on its own. No seams, no flaps, just dissolves. Inside, nothing, no object, no message, no twist, just emptiness. You step closer, and it pulls you in, not like a trap, like a vacuum, like gravity, like it's made of everything you gave up to get here. You fall into the box, the world inverts. Inside is not black, it's not even white, it's thought, raw, unstructured, the before place, and in it, a single item, a stack of cue cards. You pick up the first one. It reads, "Write your holiday." The second card, no symbols. The third, no rewards. The fourth, no witnesses. The fifth, make it matter. You look around, there's no pen, no surface, no timer, just this mandate. Create without expectation, invent without applause, the holiday that comes after the forgetting. You whisper to the cards, "What if I don't know how?" The final card appears, blank, then one word, begin. You close your eyes and try. You think of what you missed, not the tree, not the pressure, but the moment before it all began as a child, before lists, before cost, before performance, when the lights were just lights, when the quiet wasn't unsettling. You think of the version of Christmas no one ever invented, the one that didn't need rescuing or decoding or scripting. You think of a single chair, a room with no gifts, one person listening to another without checking the clock, a fire not for ambiance but warmth, an apology given without the expectation of one in return, a child asking a question and not being told to wait until dinner, a day where nothing happens and no one feels the need to explain it. That's the holiday you begin to write, not with words, but with letting go. The critics dissolve. The cue cards vanish. The box number 7, is gone. You open your eyes. You're back in your living room, not the simulation, not the memory, just your home, real, undecorated, still. Our calendar on the wall reads December 28th. Nothing is marked, no appointments, no anniversaries, just a blank square, a whole day, waiting. You don't rush, not because you're avoiding anything, but because for the first time, there's nothing pulling you forward. No countdown, no next phase, no next box. Just this, December 28th, a day with no expectations, no cultural memory, no script. You stand in your kitchen sipping plain coffee, no cinnamon, no nutmeg, nothing seasonal. Just bitter, grounding heat. You look out the window. The street is alive again, but quieter. People move slower. Cars roll past with less urgency. Something has shifted. Not in the world. In you. The tension that once curled around your chest each morning, the one asking what should I be doing today to matter, has loosened its grip. You go outside. The snow is melting. Not in a poetic way, just annoyingly. Slush. Grit. Brown ice where white should be. A perfect metaphor for after Christmas life. You walk toward the park, hands deep in your pockets. At the corner, a newspaper box still functions, barely. Inside, the headline reads, Quietest Holiday in Recorded History. You pause. Beneath it, in smaller font, no major incidents, no viral moments, no notable sales. You pull the paper out, flip through it. One article stands out. The holiday that forgot itself. You read, Sociologists are baffled. Psychologists are conflicted. Consumers are quiet. This year, December 25th, passed like a polite exhale. No major traffic, no trending disasters. Families gathered, ate, and spoke. Some forgot to post. Others forgot to expect anything at all. For reasons yet unclear, the gift economy hiccuped, and no one complained. Some are calling it the best Christmas in decades. Others are asking if it even counted. You fold the paper, put it back, let someone else find it. The idea that the whole world participated, unknowingly or not, stirs something under your ribs. You keep walking. At the park, benches are half buried in snowdrift. A man feeds birds with quiet devotion. Not for Instagram, not for nostalgia, just because. You sit on a bench nearby, close your eyes, and breathe. You don't know how long you sit there until a voice says, "Mind if I join?" You open your eyes. It's the woman in the grey coat. Clipboard lady. No clipboard now, just 2 coffees. You gesture, she sits. Hands you one, you raise an eyebrow. She says, "No tests, no tricks, just caffeine." You sip. It's good, real, not symbolic. She looks straight ahead, says nothing for a while. Then, "You were one of the few who never tried to monetize the experience." You snort. "That was an option?" She smiles. Everyone tries. Books, talks, memes. Even grief becomes content eventually. You nod. She continues. "But you didn't chase meaning. You waited for it." You sip again. "Then, it never really came." She glances at you. "That was the meaning." The silence between you is warm. Then she says something that changes everything. "There's one more box." You freeze. You say, "No, I finished. I declined. I wrote the new holiday." She nods. "You did, and you're free. But you left something behind." You look at her. "What?" She reaches into her coat, hands you a photo, black and white, grainy, printed on thick stock. It's a picture of a room you don't recognize. A child sits in the middle, cross-legged, wearing headphones, eyes closed, smiling faintly. "It's you." She says, "That's when we lost you. Before Christmas became the script. Before gifts replaced listening." You whisper, "I don't remember this." "That's because it was the first simulation, the unrecorded one, the control test. You were 6. You run your fingers over the photo. It's warm, real. "Where was this taken?" She looks away. "We don't know. That's why there's one more box." You shake your head. "No, I'm done. I don't need to open anything else." She nods. "I know, but this box needs you to." You close your eyes, try to feel for the shape of a lie, but none comes. So you say, "Where is it?" She stands, points behind you. You turn. At the base of a tree, half buried in snow, is a wooden crate, old, unbranded. No label, no wrapping. You rise, walk slowly toward it, kneel, brush snow away, lift the lid. Inside, a pair of headphones, retro, foam-padded. Like the kind from childhood listening stations, resting on top a cassette tape. You read the handwritten label, "Christmas Before." You look back. She's gone. No footprints, just a trail of steam from her cup on the bench. You sit beneath the tree, slide on the headphones, insert the tape into the recorder provided, press play. You hear static, then your voice, but young, 7, maybe 8. You're humming, not a carol, something else, raw, unfinished, beautiful. Then silence, then laughter. Yours and another voice, one you don't recognize. It says, "You're allowed to be happy without understanding why." The voice disappears. The tape keeps rolling, but there's nothing but soft static now, the kind that isn't broken, just unfinished, like space waiting to be filled. You sit beneath the tree, headphones on, staring out at the park. The snow has slowed again, settling into soft waves along the ground, not decorative, just resting. You rewind the tape, press play again. Your childhood voice hums the same melody, off-key, joyful in the way only a kid can be when no one's listening. The voice comes again, clearer this time. You're allowed to be happy without understanding why. You don't recognize the second voice. It isn't your parents, not a teacher, not an actor. But it sounds each kind, familiar in a way that bypasses identity and aims straight at memory. You pause the tape, close your eyes, and suddenly you're there. Not in a metaphorical sense. You're there. You're in a small room with orange carpet and a wood-paneled wall. There's a Fisher-Price tape recorder on the floor, your favorite book on the table, and crayons scattered in lazy constellations. It's Christmas Eve. But not the kind you grew into. There's no tree here, no gifts in sight, just a sense of quiet. Your younger self hums as they draw on the floor. You watch, unseen, as a picture takes shape in waxy reds and greens. It's a box, labeled Now. In the corner of the page, a stick figure smiles next to it. You, no decorations, no context, just the box. Someone enters the room from memory's edge, a tall figure, face hazy. Not a parent, not a stranger, something in between. They kneel beside you. You done drawing? They ask. Young you shrugs. I'm just making stuff up. The figure nods. That's how the best holidays start. They say it like it's fact, not metaphor. Then they reach into their coat. Pull out something wrapped in tissue paper. No ribbon, just folded soft. They hand it to you. You, the child, blink, surprised. I thought there weren't any presents. There aren't, the figure says. This one's a memory. Yours. You just haven't had it yet. Young you unwraps it and smiles. You, the observer, lean closer, but you can't see what it is. The memory won't let you. You whisper, "What was in the tissue?" And suddenly you're back. The park. The tape clicks to a stop. You pull off the headphones, sit with the silence for a long time. Then you notice something inside the crate, beneath the foam, buried under the player. You reach in. Your fingers close around paper. You pull it out. A drawing. Crayon on old copy paper. It's the same one you just saw. The one from the memory. The box labeled Now. And the smiling stick figure. You trace your finger over the wax lines. This wasn't made by the simulation. It was real. Which means, so was the gift. You flip the drawing over. There's writing on the back. Childish looping letters. Keep this safe, you're gonna need it when you forget what matters. No signature, no date, just that one instruction. You fold the drawing, slide it into your coat pocket, and as you do, something strange happens. The park fades, not disappears, just softens at the edges. Like a dream ending politely. You stand, look around. The snow is gone, replaced by pavement. Streetlights overhead buzz quietly. You're standing in the middle of Pine Marrow's old elementary school. It's been closed for years, you remember that. But now it's open, just one room lit. Room 3B. You walk toward it. Past lockers still decorated from a decade ago. Past murals that tried to age gracefully and failed. Inside the room, a semicircle of chairs, all empty except for one. Clipboard lady. She stands when you enter. No more games, you say. She nods. No more games. You glance around. Why bring me here? She gestures to the whiteboard. On it, written in large black letters, design the holiday you needed. You step closer. She places a marker in your hand. This is your last test, she says. Except this time it's not for us. It's for them. You hesitate. Who's them? She shrugs. The ones who come next. The ones still trapped in the holiday that isn't theirs. You look at the marker, then at the board. You don't write peace. You don't write love. You don't write presence or joy or anything that would fit neatly on a branded mug. Instead, you write permission to not participate. The marker squeaks. The words dry slowly. Clipboard lady smiles. That's going to confuse people. Good. You set the marker down. Is that it? For now. She walks to the window, looks out at the street, then says, "Would you like to see what happened to the others?" You shake your head. No. That's their story. She nods as if she knew you'd say that, hands you a key. Go home, she says. Take the drawing out once a year, read the back. That's your new ritual. You take the key. Home still exists? She smiles. It does now. You leave the classroom. Step into the hall. The lights dim behind you. Each step echoes softer. Outside, your car is where you left it. You sit in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel. You don't turn the key yet. You open your coat pocket, unfold the crayon drawing. Trace the box labeled Now. Then reread the message on the back. Keep this safe. You're going to need it when you forget what matters. You nod. Whisper to the empty seat beside you. I almost did. Then you drive. No soundtrack, no voiceover, no credits, just the road, and the permission not to perform. The road out of Pine Marrow is quiet, not empty, just slow. Each mile marker feels less like distance and more like sediment. Like you're driving through layers of yourself, peeling off forgotten versions, one highway sign at a time. You pass familiar places, the diner with the broken neon O, the gas station that always played jazz at 3 a.m., the old barn with the ghost story no one could agree on. None of them pull you. You're not running, you're not returning, you're continuing. Somewhere between towns, the clouds thin. Sunlight breaks in soft strips across the road. No spotlight, no crescendo. Just light. Unscripted. Accidental. You don't check your phone, you don't listen to the radio, you just drive. Eventually you stop at a rest area, one of those highway purgatories with vending machines, 2 clean bathrooms, and nothing behind the building but dry grass. You sit on a concrete bench near the edge of the lot, take the drawing out of your pocket. Crayon creased, edges soft, ink fading slightly. The box labeled Now. The stick figure. The message on the back. Keep this safe. You're gonna need it when you forget what matters. You trace the words again and ask yourself more quietly, have I forgotten again already? Because freedom you're learning is quieter than memory. It has no bells, no rituals, no applause. And without those things, it's easy to drift, to forget what you escaped, to rebuild the same prison, just with different wallpaper. You slide the drawing back into your coat, and that's when you notice the vending machine behind you. One of the glass-fronted types full of travel junk, tiny deodorants, plastic combs, headphones, aspirin. But tucked in the corner is something that doesn't belong, a single red envelope, slipped between packs of gum and lip balm. You blink, approach. The envelope has no price sticker, no slot beneath it, no label. You press your hand against the glass. It's real. You glance around. Nobody else here. You walk into the station, find the clerk, middle-aged, reading a paperback mystery. Doesn't look up when you enter. You ask, do you know what's in that red envelope in the vending machine? He turns a page. Without looking at you, he says, that's not for sale. You pause. What is it? He shrugs. Don't know. Been there for years. Reappears every time someone thinks they're done. Your stomach tightens. Done with what? He looks up now, eyes sharp, kind, not surprised. With forgetting. You leave the building without another word. Stand in front of the vending machine. The envelope is still there, still untouched. You hesitate. Then, without knowing why, you press both palms to the glass and say out loud, I don't want to forget again. Click. A sound. The envelope slides down into the tray. You don't move. Just stare at it. Then, slowly, reach in. Pull it out. The paper is warm. You break the seal. Inside, a single card. On it, a question. What will you keep? No signature, no return address. Just that. You read it again, and again. It doesn't change. You sit back on the bench, hold the card in one hand, the drawing in the other. 2 artifacts from different lives, but the question echoes louder than anything the experiment ever asked. What will you keep? From the silence, from the ritual, from the failure, from the days no one gave. You whisper, I'll keep the slowness. And it feels right. Then, I'll keep the day after. That too. I'll keep the permission to not celebrate. Yes. And the right to start over on a Tuesday. You smile. I'll keep the moment I didn't share. The bench is cold beneath you, but it holds. You write the answers down on the back of the card, each one in tiny, careful letters, and when you're done, you slide the card into the vending machine, back through the tray. It disappears. No magic, no shimmer, just gone, as if it was always meant to return. You stand, stretch, breathe, and walk back to your car. You drive again, not toward anything but away from needing to. Hours pass. You stop once for gas, once for coffee. In the evening, you reach a town you don't know. One of those in-between places where no one asks where you're from. You find a cheap motel. Check in. The clerk gives you a key on a plastic tag that reads, Room 19. You unlock the door. The room is plain. 2 beds. Lamp with a yellow bulb. No Bible in the drawer. Just a notepad with 3 pages left. You sit at the desk. Pull out the drawing again. Look at it in the lamp's warmth. Then you write something on the notepad. A title, Instructions for Remembering. And underneath, Make coffee with no flavor. Watch snow fall without sharing it. Open a box, then close it again. Sit near someone and say nothing. Decline an invitation. Send a gift with no name on it. Leave a day blank. Turn off the music before it ends. Keep something small in your coat. Remember that you're allowed to stop. Remember that you're allowed to restart. Remember that not everything needs to be unwrapped. You fold the page, slide it into the nightstand drawer for the next guest or the next version of you. Then you lie down. Close your eyes. No countdown, no transition, no box, just breath and space. And the question you've now answered, what will you keep? This. You don't check out of the motel the next morning. You leave the key on the nightstand, folded inside the page you wrote last night. You don't know if anyone will read it. You don't care, that's not apathy, it's peace. Outside, the air is crisp with no agenda. The sun is lazy, the streets are half awake. You walk a few blocks, pass a bakery that hasn't opened yet, a bookstore with no customers. You buy a coffee from a vending machine just for the warmth. It tastes like wet cardboard, but it's yours. The motel town doesn't know you. That's the appeal. But just as you're starting to feel invisible again, a strange comfort. Your phone rings. You forgot it could. The screen lights up with a contact you haven't seen since before all of this. Marta, your sister. You stare at the screen until it stops buzzing. A minute later, a voicemail. Then a text. Hey, just checking in. Haven't heard from you since the 23rd. Everything okay? Your chest tightens. Because for all the metaphysical unraveling you've endured, you forgot something simple. You have a life outside the loop. You tap the message, start to type, then delete. Because how do you explain this? Hey, sorry, I disappeared into a post-capitalist holiday void and accidentally rewrote my existential purpose. What's new with you? No version of that will land. You put the phone away. Walk. Eventually you find a small park. Children play, not loudly, not perfectly, but enough to remind you that time is still moving. On a nearby bench, an old man feeds pigeons from a brown paper bag. You sit beside him without asking. He doesn't flinch, doesn't greet. Just keeps tossing crumbs. After a minute, he says, "You from here?" You shake your head. He nods, like that was the right answer. "You running from something?" "No." "You running to something?" "No." He chuckles. "So you're just being?" You smile. "Trying." He holds out the bag. You take a handful of crumbs and toss them gently. He says, "My wife used to say, people don't know how to be still anymore. Even when they stop, they're planning the next thing." You nod. "She passed 5 years ago," he adds, "on Christmas Day." You look at him. He's not sad when he says it, just real. "Did you celebrate this year?" you ask. He shrugs. "Forgot it was happening. Spent the day in the bath." You smile. "Best holiday I've ever had." He laughs. "Same." The pigeons scatter. The bench creaks. The world doesn't need a climax right now. After a while, you stand. Thank him. He waves without looking, and you keep moving. Your phone buzzes again. This time, a photo. Marta again. She's holding a present, unwrapped. Your handwriting on the tag. "Do not open unless you're ready to forget what you wanted." She's captioned it. "Seriously? WTH is this?" You frown. You don't remember sending her anything, but the handwriting is yours. And the box number 4 maybe, looks eerily familiar. A second message follows. "Also, you missed dinner, and Dad keeps asking if you're off the grid again." You want to laugh. You want to cry. Because for all the simulation's precision, it never taught you how to re-enter. There's no protocol for after the after, no guidebook for returning to people who didn't get the download. You call her, it rings, she answers. No hello, just, took you long enough? You exhale. Hey. Silence. Then, you good? I think so. Are you going to explain the box? You pause. No. She sighs. Of course not. I didn't mean to ghost. I just had to figure something out. You always do. You hear plates clinking in the background, a dog barking. Life, she asks. You coming back? You close your eyes and realize this isn't a movie. There's no dramatic return. No slow montage where the prodigal child walks back into the holiday light. It's messier than that, so you say, I'll visit soon. She doesn't push. Okay. A pause. Then, you missed the worst apple pie we've ever made. You grin. Save me a slice? She laughs. I threw it out. You're welcome. You hang up. And for the first time since waking up in the loop, you don't feel watched. Not tested. Not decoded. Just part of something. Even if it's flawed, even if it forgot you for a while. You walk until sunset. Then find a small inn. Pay in cash. No paperwork. No questions. The woman at the front desk hands you a key. Room 12. You smile at the number. Inside, it's quiet. There's a lamp, a window, a journal left on the dresser with the words, "For reflections that don't need conclusions." You flip to the first blank page and write, Day 13. I remembered what it felt like to be missed, not because I was absent, but because someone noticed the space I left. You pause, then write, That's what I'll keep too. You close the journal, open the window. The night air carries nothing scripted, no sleigh bells, no hidden voices, just wind, and somewhere in the dark, you. Exactly as you are, no box, no ritual, no prompt, just a person learning to live in the space between meaning. You don't check out of the motel the next morning. You leave the key on the nightstand, folded inside the page you wrote last night. You don't know if anyone will read it. You don't care. That's not apathy. It's peace. Outside, the air is crisp with no agenda. The sun is lazy. The streets are half awake. You walk a few blocks, pass a bakery that hasn't opened yet, a bookstore with no customers. You buy a coffee from a vending machine, just for the warmth. It tastes like wet cardboard, but it's yours. The motel town doesn't know you, that's the appeal. But just as you're starting to feel invisible again, a strange comfort, your phone rings. You forgot it could. The screen lights up with a contact you haven't seen since before all of this. Marta, your sister. You stare at the screen until it stops buzzing. A minute later, a voicemail. Then a text. Hey, just checking in. Haven't heard from you since the 23rd. Everything okay? Your chest tightens. Because for all the metaphysical unraveling you've endured, you forgot something simple. You have a life outside the loop. You tap the message, start to type, then delete. Because how do you explain this? Hey, sorry, I disappeared into a post-capitalist holiday void and accidentally rewrote my existential purpose. What's new with you? No version of that will land. You put the phone away. Walk. Eventually, you find a small park. Children play, not loudly. Not perfectly, but enough to remind you that time is still moving. On a nearby bench, an old man feeds pigeons from a brown paper bag. You sit beside him without asking. He doesn't flinch, doesn't greet, just keeps tossing crumbs. After a minute, he says, "You from here?" You shake your head. He nods, like that was the right answer. You running from something? No. You running to something? No. He chuckles. So you're just being? You smile. Trying. He holds out the bag. You take a handful of crumbs and toss them gently. He says, "My wife used to say people don't know how to be still anymore. Even when they stop, they're planning the next thing." You nod. "She passed 5 years ago," he adds. "On Christmas Day." You look at him. He's not sad when he says it. Just real. Did you celebrate this year? You ask. He shrugs. Forgot it was happening. Spent the day in the bath. You smile. Best holiday I've ever had. He laughs. Same. The pigeons scatter. The bench creaks. The world doesn't need a climax right now. After a while you stand, thank him. He waves without looking, and you keep moving. Your phone buzzes again. This time, a photo. Marta again. She's holding a present, unwrapped. Your handwriting on the tag, "Do not open unless you're ready to forget what you wanted." She's captioned it. Seriously? WTH is this? You frown. You don't remember sending her anything, but the handwriting is yours. And the box number 4 maybe, looks eerily familiar. A second message follows. Also, you missed dinner, and Dad keeps asking if you're off the grid again. You want to laugh, you want to cry, because for all the simulation's precision, it never taught you how to re-enter. There's no protocol for after the after, no guidebook for returning to people who didn't get the download. You call her, it rings, she answers. No hello, just, took you long enough. You exhale. Hey. Silence. Then, you good? I think so. Are you going to explain the box? You pause. No. She sighs. Of course not. I didn't mean to ghost. I just had to figure something out. You always do. You hear plates clinking in the background, a dog barking. Life. She asks, "You coming back?" You close your eyes and realize this isn't a movie. There's no dramatic return, no slow montage where the prodigal child walks back into the holiday light. It's messier than that. So you say, "I'll visit." Soon. She doesn't push. Okay. A pause, then, "You missed the worst apple pie we've ever made." You grin. "Save me a slice?" She laughs. "I threw it out. You're welcome." You hang up. And for the first time since waking up in the loop, you don't feel watched, not tested, not decoded, just a part of something, even if it's flawed, even if it forgot you for a while. You walk until sunset, then find a small inn, pay in cash, no paperwork, no questions. The woman at the front desk hands you a key. Room 12, you smile at the number. Inside it's quiet, there's a lamp, a window, a journal left on the dresser with the words, "For reflections that don't need conclusions." You flip to the first blank page and write, "Day 13. I remembered what it felt like to be missed, not because I was absent, but because someone noticed the space I left." You pause, then write, "That's what I'll keep too." You close the journal, open the window. The night air carries nothing scripted, no sleigh bells, no hidden voices, just wind, and somewhere in the dark, you, exactly as you are, no box, no ritual, no prompt, just a person, learning to live in the space between meaning. The next morning, you wake up before the sun, not on purpose, just out of rhythm. Your body hasn't decided what time it belongs to yet. The room is dark, except for the soft yellow glow of the street lamp outside. It cuts a diagonal across the floor, landing on the journal you left on the desk. You sit up, rub your eyes. Breathe. No dreams, no voices, just you. You open the window. Cold air floods in. It smells like dust, asphalt, and something faintly sweet, like someone's already baking bread 3 blocks away. You dress quietly, layer by layer. Not for anyone, not for the weather, just for the practice of returning to your body. Downstairs, the innkeeper is making tea. She doesn't say good morning. She just slides a cup across the counter and nods. The gesture is perfect. You drink in silence, then leave. Back on the road, the streets are still empty. The town is neither asleep nor awake. It exists in that gentle pause between intentions. You pass a bulletin board with old flyers pinned up. Holiday concert cancelled. Missing cat, possibly moved in with another family. Pine Marrow Poetry Night, bring your own truth. You tear off the poetry flyer, fold it, slide it into your pocket. You don't know why yet. Outside the library, A man is sweeping the sidewalk with more care than necessary. You nod. He nods back. No words. You keep moving. And then, across the street, a storefront you recognize. Not because it's familiar, because it used to be something else. Once it was a toy store, then a frozen yogurt shop, then briefly a VR arcade with flickering lights and techno music no one liked. Now the sign above it just says, You. You cross the street, peek inside. It's empty. No lights, no furniture, just a single chair in the center of the floor, facing the window. As if waiting for someone to decide what the space is for, you stare at the sign again. You. It's not an address, it's an assignment. You walk away before the metaphor gets too smug. Back at the inn, you pack slowly. Fold the clothes you never wore. Untangle the charger you didn't use. Zip the suitcase that doesn't hold much except reminders that you came from somewhere. You leave the key on the bed. Beside it, the poetry flyer. You write one line across the bottom. Truth isn't something you carry, it's something you notice. Then you walk out. On the road again, the sky begins to shift. Sunlight breaks through. The real kind. No simulation, no metaphor, just the angle of light over land. And for once it feels okay that no one will remember this, that there won't be a highlight reel or an epiphany montage. This isn't the ending of anything. It's just what comes after the forgetting. You pass a sign. Leaving Pine Marrow, drive gently. You laugh. Not because it's clever, because it's true. An hour later, you stop for gas. There's a woman inside the station arguing with the soda machine. She slaps the side of it. Mutters. You offer $1. She accepts it without shame. That's the third one that ate my money this week, she says. You nod. Might be time to stop trusting machines, she smirks. Might be time to start carrying quarters again. You both laugh. And that's it. A moment. Brief. Unstoried. But it stays with you. You realize the world never stopped offering meaning. You just stopped auditioning for it. You reach into your coat pocket, half expecting to find another box, another envelope, another test. But there's nothing, just the drawing. The one from your childhood. You unfold it. Look at it in daylight for the first time. The box labeled now. The stick figure still smiling. The message on the back still legible. Keep this safe. You're gonna need it when you forget what matters. You whisper, I didn't forget. And in that moment you feel it. Not nostalgia, not performance, but continuity. Like every version of you has agreed, silently, to carry this forward. Not as a lesson, as a lifestyle. You get back in the car, drive until you find the next town. No name on the welcome sign. No claim to fame. Just a post office, a few shops, a mural of birds on the side of a diner. You stop, not to eat, to exist. You sit at a table by the window, order toast and black coffee. The waitress doesn't comment on your coat, your tired eyes, or your folded drawing on the table. She just brings the food and refills the mug without asking. As you eat, you overhear a conversation behind you. A father and daughter, arguing gently. I didn't get you a present, the father says. I didn't want one, the daughter replies. Still, I should have... No, she cuts him off. You were there. You listened. That was the gift. You freeze, turn slightly, they don't see you, you don't say a word. Because this wasn't staged for you, it's just the world catching up. You leave cash on the table, slide the drawing into your journal, write a line beneath it. The experiment ended. The holiday began. You close the journal, get back on the road, not towards something, just forward. Not to escape, but to keep noticing, because now you know the real holiday isn't on the calendar. It isn't in a box. It lives in the days nobody names, the spaces between rituals, the quiet after forgetting, the moment you decide, this matters, even if no one else sees it. The next morning, the calendar is wrong. You wake in a rented room above a bakery. A chalkboard hangs on the wall near the bed, the kind with the day of the week written in looping cursive. Thursday, December 32nd. You blink, sit up, stare at it again. December 32nd. No fanfare, no glitch. No buzzing screen telling you this is part of phase 13. No one hiding behind a two-way mirror waiting to jot down your reaction. Just the wrong date. As if time decided to extend itself without permission. You walk downstairs. The bakery smells like oranges and cinnamon and bread. Comfort. The baker hands you a roll before you speak. "No charge today," she says. "Why?" She shrugs. "It's the 32nd. Everyone gets something." You want to say, "That's not a thing." But she says it so casually you wonder if maybe it is. You step outside. The sun is soft. The streets are half awake again. People pass by, nodding, waving. Someone hangs a paper sign on a lamppost. You squint at it. Happy December 32nd. No resolutions, just recognition. You walk the block, then two. Every storefront has adopted the phrase. A florist has written it in petals across their window. A barber's chalkboard says, "Open 9 to 3, then we close to forget who we were." You stop a man on the sidewalk. "Can I ask you something?" He nods. "What's today?" He smiles. "December 32nd. "And what is that, exactly?" He shrugs. "It's the day between the years, the one they forgot to program." You blink. "Since when?" He taps his temple. "Since I stopped asking what I should be doing." Then walks on. You enter a small bookstore. No music playing. Just the sound of a fan and pages turning. A handwritten sign at the register. Trade one memory for one book. Yours or someone else's? You approach the counter. The woman behind it looks up. "What would you like to forget?" You think about it, then say, "The way I used to brace for holidays like impact zones." She nods, takes a notebook from under the counter, writes it down, tears the page, folds it, puts it in a wooden box labeled "Let Go," then hands you a book wrapped in paper. No title. You leave without unwrapping it. The town moves in waves. No rush, just motion. You pass a child standing in front of a snowman. Instead of a carrot nose, the snowman has a mirror shard. The child stares at their own reflection. A street musician plays something slow and unplaceable, not for money, just for air. You stop at a cafe. Order something unfamiliar. The barista wears a pin. "I opted out of nostalgia. Ask me how." You don't ask, because you already know. You sit at a window seat. Write in your journal. Today doesn't exist on any calendar. But it exists in the body. It's the breath between intention and effort. The space that doesn't demand explanation. The gift no one knows how to wrap. You eat slowly. No notifications. No soundtrack. No name on the drink. Just now. The sun begins to sink. And still no one calls it tomorrow. You walk back toward the bakery. You pass a fire station with a whiteboard out front. If today is a glitch, let's make it a sacred one. You pause, not because you disagree, but because it hits too close. This is what you've been waiting for. Not a box, not a test, not an exit. A day that doesn't belong to anyone. A day too strange to monetize, too sincere to market, too honest to trend. Back in your room, the chalkboard now says, December 32nd, choose what not to carry forward. You sit on the edge of the bed, pull the drawing from your pocket, the one with the box labeled Now. The stick figure still smiling. You flip it over, reread the message, keep this safe. You're gonna need it when you forget what matters. You trace the words with your finger, then slowly, deliberately. You fold the paper, slide it under the pillow, leave it there, not because it's over, but because you're ready to live without holding it so tightly. You lie back, close your eyes. The day holds. No transition, no undoing, just breath and recognition. Out the window, a small boy walks down the sidewalk holding a sign made of cardboard and marker. It says, "See you next year." Or maybe not. You smile, because it's not a promise, it's a permission. The last light fades, and still no tomorrow. The next morning, you wake up to a blank page, literally. The chalkboard in the bakery room now reads, January 0th, not 1st, not Eve, 0, the reset before the reset. You lie still for a moment, listening, No movement downstairs, no footsteps, no ovens humming, just the sound of your own breath. You sit up. The drawing is still under your pillow. You don't touch it. Not because it's no longer important, but because for once it doesn't need you. You get dressed, not with ceremony, with rhythm. Each layer is familiar, soft from wear, honest in texture. You walk downstairs. The bakery is closed, the front door unlocked. A note on the counter. Gone to remember what we forgot. Leave your own story under the jar. You lift the glass tip jar. Underneath, slips of paper folded like secrets. You find one blank sheet. Write a line. Today is unclaimed. Let's not rush to colonize it. You fold it, leave it, and walk out into the quiet. The town is pausing. People walk slower, speak softer. Their eyes aren't searching for anything. Their hands are empty, their pockets full of nothing that needs checking. It feels like a storyless day. A day left out of the novel on purpose. You step into the library. Inside, the lights are dim. A single shelf stands in the center of the room, labeled Books Not Written Yet. No one else is inside. You approach the shelf. The spines are blank, except one. A thin red volume. Title: The Year Without Instructions. You pull it out. Flip to the first page. It's handwritten. January 0th. This day is not for promises. It is for disassembly. Take off the labels. Forget your themes. Unbuild the boxes. You keep reading. Each page is more of the same. Not lessons, not goals, just reminders to slow down, to empty, to stop choosing words for things that haven't grown yet. You reach the final page. A question: what doesn't belong in the year ahead? You sit on the floor, the carpet is warm, and you think about it. Not quickly, not cleverly, just honestly. You whisper, obligation that calls itself love. Then, tradition that punishes deviation. Then, forgiveness with terms and conditions. And finally, urgency. You write them down on the blank inside cover. Then place the book back on the shelf, not where you found it, somewhere new. A girl enters the library. She looks no older than 10. Wears a jacket 3 sizes too big and boots that squeak. She doesn't look at you. She walks to the shelf, grabs the red book, flips to the final page, reads your words, smiles, then places the book in her backpack and leaves. You don't follow her. That was never the point. You walk out into the open air. Snow has returned. Soft flakes. The kind that don't settle right away. They fall like questions. Across the street, the U store now has a new sign. Closed until remembered. You smile and keep walking. Every window holds something handwritten now. A butcher shop says, no meat today, just stories. A mechanic's garage reads, oil changes and emotional recalibration. Even the post office has a note, deliveries delayed. We're still deciding what's worth sending. You reach the edge of town, where the houses thin, where roads turn back into choices. And there, leaning against a signpost, is someone waiting. Grey coat. Familiar silhouette. Clipboard lady. Except she's not holding a clipboard now, just an empty folder. She nods as you approach. You stop a few feet away. Neither of you speak. The silence feels earned. Then she says, you weren't supposed to make it to January Guth, you smirk. I wasn't supposed to open box number 1. She smiles back. And yet here you are. You look at the folder. She holds it up. It's yours, if you want it. You don't take it yet. What's inside? Nothing. You raise an eyebrow. That's not very dramatic. She shrugs. We've tried drama, you didn't respond. You take the folder, open it, blank pages. No instructions, no expectations. Just potential. She says, this is where the world stops suggesting and starts asking. You nod. Close the folder. Then ask, what happens tomorrow? Her smile fades, not with sadness, but precision. That depends on what you call it. You laugh, soft and real, then say, not January 1st. She tilts her head. No? No resolutions, you say. No countdown, no pressure to become better than I already am. Then what? You look up at the falling snow and say, January only. She nods, once, flickers, and disappears. No glitch, just absence. You stand there for a long time. Let the snow cover your shoulders. Then you open the folder again. Take out the first blank page. Write a title. Instructions for a month that doesn't want to be February yet. Then beneath it, wake up without justifying it. Watch something change slowly. Make peace with your inbox not needing you. Forgive the people who forgot to invite you. Invite no one unless you mean it. Don't name the ache. Let the silence finish its thought. Eat like you're still learning how. Remember that you already survived last year. Say no. Mean it. Don't explain. You fold the paper. Slide it into your coat. Begin walking again. The folder under your arm. No plan, no agenda. Just this. The year began when you did. And you are not late. The next morning the sky is a flat, forgiving grey. Not stormy. Not symbolic, just undecided. You step outside with no idea where you're going, and no pressure to know. It's January only, the month between. You walk with your hands in your pockets, the folder tucked under your arm. You haven't opened it again. Not because it's sacred, because it's yours. The town around you is different now, less performative. Windows don't advertise. No one's inviting you to return to normal. Because maybe normal was never mutual. You pass a bench with a plaque that reads, "For whoever needs to sit, not reflect." You do, not because you're tired, because it's enough. Across the street, a woman stands in front of a shuttered storefront, peeling old decals off the glass. You watch in silence as flakes of vinyl letters scatter like ash. Eventually, she notices you. "Want to help?" she asks. You do. No forms, no introductions. Just you, her, and a dull plastic scraper. Letter by letter, the past disappears. "Used to be a frozen yogurt place," she says. You nod. "What'll it be now?" She shrugs. "A space, that's all I know." You keep scraping. Eventually she says, "Did you ever stop celebrating?" You pause. "Not exactly. I just stopped assuming it meant the same thing every year." She grins. "That's a better answer than most." When the windows are clean, she hands you a marker. "Write the first truth." You hesitate. Then on the empty glass you write, "We are not late, we are just now." She reads it, then writes her own beneath it. "Holidays aren't the problem, scripts are." You step back. The window glows with honesty. People pass. No one mocks, no one claps. They just see. Later you eat lunch alone at a counter diner. The server refills your water without speaking. Someone 2 stools down hums a melody you recognize, not from a song, but a dream. You don't ask them to stop. You don't join in. You just let it exist. Afterward you walk to the edge of the town where new homes are being framed. Sawhorses, nails, unpainted futures. You climb a small hill overlooking the site, sit, and finally open the folder again. Inside, the blank pages wait. Not eagerly, not metaphorically, just present. You tear one out. Write, "Guide for the uncelebrated days." Leave one morning unnamed. Don't tell anyone it's your birthday. Take a walk without checking the time. Eat the thing you were saving for guests. Mourn nothing today. Don't document the sunset. Call no one but think of many. Listen to a silence you didn't create. Say, "I love you," without adding to. Sit still long enough for the stillness to speak back. You fold it. Place it in the folder. Keep walking. That evening, you find a small wooden box nailed to a telephone pole. No lock, no label. Just a slit in the top and a note that says, "Submit what you wish had been celebrated." You pause. Take out a slip of paper. Write, "The year I didn't accomplish anything except survive." Slide it in. Then another. "The morning I finally cried for the right reasons." And another. "The dinner I ate alone without feeling lonely." You close the box. Look around. Others have done the same. No fireworks, no medals, just tiny revolutions folded in half. As the light fades, you return to your room. You no longer count the days. They're not being tallied, they're being witnessed. You sit on the floor, open the folder again. Write a single phrase. There is no going back to before, and that's a relief. Then you put down the pen, turn off the light, lie back, and rest. Not to recharge, not to prepare, but because rest is an action, one that deserves its own day. And tomorrow you'll wake again, not to repeat, but to remember. The next morning, the world is fog. You wake in a room with no clocks. The window is cracked. Outside, the fog swallows the rooftops, the trees, the sky. But you don't panic, because fog is not a mystery. It's permission. You walk barefoot to the window, breath fogging the glass from the inside. You trace the outline of a square, not a box, a frame. You step back and stare at it like a painting. Inside it, nothing appears. Just white air and maybe a hint of a tree. This is how the day begins, not with clarity, with soft refusal. Downstairs, the street is muffled. Footsteps barely echo. Cars slow down, no one honks. You walk to the cafe across the street, order coffee. The barista says, "Pay what you wish today, or don't." You hand over a coin you don't recognize. He nods like it makes perfect sense. The fog follows you down the block. You walk without seeing far. And for once, that doesn't mean you're lost. You reach the small community garden on the edge of town. In January, it's barren, or should be. But one patch has bloomed, inexplicably. Nothing dramatic. Just a cluster of crocuses pushing up from half-frozen soil. A handwritten sign next to them reads, "Wrong Season Club, membership always open." You kneel, touch the soil. It's warm, not artificially, not metaphorically, just warm. You leave a note in the garden mailbox. Some days bloom out of spite, others out of remembering. You walk back toward town, folder tucked under your coat like scripture. At a corner you haven't turned before, you find a man playing a cello. Not for tips. Not for an audience, just playing. You sit on the curb and listen. He nods, doesn't stop, you close your eyes. The music is imperfect, honest, the kind of sound that doesn't improve with recording. When he finishes, he says, "Nice fog today." You nod. It makes everything quieter. He smiles. "It makes me sound better." You both laugh. He asks, "Where are you from?" And for the first time, you answer without hesitation. "Somewhere I don't need to go back to." He doesn't ask what that means. You sit in silence again. Then you ask, "Is this a holiday?" He shrugs. "Feels like one." And then you realize, that's the only requirement. Not intention, not tradition, just felt truth. You walk again, back to the place you're renting. The room has no internet, no working television, just a small bookshelf. You open your folder, remove a blank page, write, "The holiday that waits." It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand matching outfits or RSVP deadlines. It doesn't punish you for forgetting it last year. It arrives like weather, uninvited but kind. It lets you be unfinished. It lets you sit quietly in the next room. It understands you might not be ready. And it waits, without pressure, without consequence, just presence. Until you're ready to believe in something soft again. You leave the paper on the nightstand. Later, you walk again. The fog has not lifted. But now, you see people moving through it with intention, not confusion, not fear. Just rhythm. One person sits outside a bookstore reading aloud to no one. Another stacks blank notebooks on a bench with a sign, "Take one if you've run out of space inside." You sit, take a notebook, open to the first page, and write, "This is not a resolution. This is a reckoning with the pace of my own heart." You tear the page out, leave it on the bench. Inside the bookstore, a child is reorganizing shelves, not alphabetically, but by feeling. She holds up 2 books. Asks you, "Does this one feel more like January or February?" You say January, but the part that forgot to end. She nods, places it in a section labeled "Still Becoming." You buy a book of poems written by anonymous strangers. The cover says, "Collected on days no one else believed in." Back in your room, you read them slowly, one per hour. You fall asleep with the book on your chest. The fog remains. But in the morning, the frame on your window is no longer empty. Inside it, a tree. Just a tree. Nothing symbolic, nothing ominous. But it's visible now. And for some reason, that feels like progress. You pour water into the glass from the cafe. It steams. You sip it slowly. Write one final line before you leave the room. The holiday that waits does not expire. Then you fold your clothes, zip the folder, lace your shoes, and walk out. Not into the next chapter, not into the next phase, just forward, through the fog, toward whatever still believes in you. You leave the town at dawn, not because it's over, because you've taken what you needed. And for once, that's enough. The road ahead is unmarked, no GPS, no prompts, no reminders that a holiday used to be here. Just frost on the windshield and music you don't need to recognize to feel. You drive for hours, pass through villages with no slogans, cross a bridge with no name, and finally reach a sign, barely hanging from a crooked post. Giftless Futures Club, visitors welcome. Membership optional. You pull over, stretch your legs, approach a small building just off the road, part greenhouse, part chapel, part schoolroom. Inside, soft light. A man in a navy sweater greets you. "You're early," he says. "For what?" "For whatever this becomes," you smirk. "Is that how things work here?" He shrugs. "Only if they need to." He offers you tea. You accept. Chamomile and something else, not floral, earthy. He gestures to a long table with blank journals stacked at the center. A sign reads, "For recording what didn't happen." You sit. He asks, "Would you like to share a non-event?" You nod. Open the journal. Write, "This year, I wasn't disappointed by anyone forgetting me on purpose." Then another. "I didn't chase meaning down a hallway of algorithmic rituals." And a third. "I didn't wrap anything. I didn't unwrap anything. And nothing felt lost." You slide the journal across the table. He reads it, says nothing, just smiles. Then walks to a bookshelf, returns with a thin black book, hands it to you. On the cover, the archive of almost gone practices. You flip through. Each page contains a ritual someone let go of. Stopped clinking glasses before every toast. No longer pretend to be surprised when I knew the gift was coming. Cancelled the tradition of pretending I'm okay with chaos. Let go of writing resolutions in someone else's handwriting. At the back, a blank page, a pen tied to the spine. You write, "I left the loop, but not the lessons." Close the book, place it gently on the table. The man nods. Most people leave something here. You ask, "What do they take?" He points to a basket near the exit. Inside, scraps of paper. You sift through them. Each one carries a single sentence. "This day doesn't owe you clarity." Joy isn't an emergency. You may proceed without a mission. Your absence from tradition was not unnoticed. It was honored. Someone else is breathing easier because you said no. You choose one, fold it, place it in your pocket next to the crayon drawing you still carry, now softened with time. The man walks you out. Before you leave, he says, "There's no next phase, just next practice." You nod, begin to walk. No destination, just motion. You pass a pond frozen in stillness. A child skates in uneven circles. Her gloves are mismatched. Her laugh is not. You pass a woman sitting on a porch, knitting a scarf that changes colors every few inches, not from design, but from running out of yarn and continuing anyway. You pass a dog sleeping on top of a newspaper titled, "Today is not a performance." Eventually you reach a fork in the road. No signs, no paths more worn than the other. You pause, take out the folded sentence from the basket, read it again. "You may proceed without a mission." You smile, then do. You choose the left path, because why not? It leads you to a grove of trees with notes pinned to their trunks. You walk among them reading, "I forgave someone who didn't ask. I decided not to keep traditions out of guilt. I laughed alone and didn't feel lonely. I finally believed that missing a holiday doesn't mean missing love. I built a new season out of refusal. You take out your own slip of paper. Write, I remembered what it was like to be known without being decoded. You pin it to a tree, keep walking. Eventually you find a bench beneath a willow. You sit, no prompt, no performance, no purpose beyond the pause, and you breathe. Because breath, it turns out, is a ritual too. One we keep forgetting counts. As the sky darkens, you open your folder, write, practice notes for days without holidays. Say no, even when it's easier to say maybe. Let the inbox rot. Find one corner of the world and witness it without adding anything. Call a friend and say, nothing happened today and I wanted to tell someone. Practice deleting calendar events. Mourn the versions of yourself who needed so much validation. Host a celebration that no one attends and still smile. Create a playlist titled, The Year I Didn't Need a Playlist. Bake something without documenting it. Keep a record of all the things you no longer need to keep. You close the folder. Look out into the deepening evening. No bells, no countdown, no boxes. Just this, a life, unwrapped. The calendar says January 11th, but it doesn't feel like anything. No year declared, no themes trending, just a date, floating. You sit on the steps of an old train station that hasn't seen a train in a decade. The sign above it has been edited. Pine Marrow Transit, destination whenever. You sip tea from a chipped mug, not yours. Someone left it behind. Inside the mug's rim, the words, we begin by not beginning. You laugh quietly, then take out the folder. Flip to a blank page, write, today's weather. Not urgency, not closure, just duration. You look up. A woman is painting the side of the station. She's not painting an image, just brushstrokes in layered circles, swirls of navy and burnt orange. You ask, what is it? She doesn't stop moving her brush. It's what January actually looks like. You nod, because somehow that makes sense. She glances at your folder. You writing about the thing or around it? You pause, then say, both. And neither, she smiles. Good. The people who write too cleanly usually haven't lived the mess yet. You stay quiet. She keeps painting. Eventually you walk. No goal, just momentum. You pass a community board with a new poster, Wednesday, blanket fort in the church basement. Adults only. No explanations necessary. Below it, a handwritten note. Thursdays are for listening to the radio static until it sounds like forgiveness. You tear off a corner of the flyer. Add your own Friday, maybe. Sitting in the park pretending the bench chose you. You keep walking. You find a small bookstore with no lights on but the door unlocked. Inside, a man is restocking the poetry section by vibe. You ask if he has anything about invisible holidays. He pulls out a book wrapped in brown paper. Written on the cover, A Year with No Proof. You open it to a random page. It reads, February never showed up. Nobody minded. March arrived like someone pretending they weren't early. April apologized for being too loud. May wanted to be useful. June left a voicemail. July forgot your name, but not your laugh. August decided she wasn't responsible for your burnout. September packed her things slowly. October lit one candle and never explained it. November gave you a second chance and didn't mention the first. December sat next to you in silence. January said, I'm not new, I'm just what's left. You close the book. Buy it, not because you need it, but because it's true. You walk to the edge of the town again. There's a small fire pit, a sign next to it. Burn a version of yourself that no longer belongs to you. You sit, write on a scrap of paper. The me who waited for validation before naming the moment sacred. You place it in the fire. Watch it dissolve. No epiphany, no soundtrack, just release. A woman sits beside you, older, wrapped in a shawl that looks like it was made of forgotten sweaters. She says, most people come here thinking they're missing something. You nod. And? They're right, she says, but it's not what they think. They're missing the permission to live outside narrative. You look at the flames. They keep asking, what's next? She smiles. What if there is no next? What if there's just more now? You nod again. No resistance left in you. She stands, leaves behind a note tucked into the bench. We do not owe every month a mood. You copy it into your folder. Then walk again. Eventually you reach the community rec center. A note on the door. Inside. Time that forgot to behave. You push the door open. Inside, dozens of people sit in silence, each with a notebook, some writing, some just thinking. One wall is covered in handprints. Above them, you were here, even if no one threw a party about it. You press your hand to the wall, feel nothing but cool paint. But that's enough. A volunteer hands you a pin, no logo. Just white with black letters, unclaimed day. You pin it to your coat, leave. And as the sun sets, you find a field, empty. No benches, no signs, no installations or postmodern metaphors, just space. You sit. Open your folder again, write. Instructions for a year nobody named. Don't ask the calendar for permission. Celebrate things that no one knows how to market. Invent anniversaries that feel honest. Let a Tuesday be holy. Wear something ridiculous just because your inner child dared you. Let grief interrupt you mid-laugh and don't apologize. Make something pointless and leave it somewhere public. Define joy as the relief of not needing to be impressive. Revisit places you weren't ready to enjoy the first time. Give yourself one silent hour every month and call it a holiday. You fold the paper, slide it into the folder, and breathe. The year is not new, but it's yours now, because you stopped asking what it was supposed to be and started noticing what it already was. You wake before sunrise, not out of anxiety, out of agreement, with the world, with the rhythm. You step outside into a mist so thin it feels like memory, hovering, not quite real, not quite gone. There's a note pinned to the lamppost near your door. The town is still here, so are you. Coincidence? You smirk, then walk. No breakfast, no agenda. Just momentum with nowhere to be impressive. You pass a hardware store with a hand-painted sign. We no longer carry expectations, but we do have nails. You pass a laundromat where the dryers aren't running, but someone inside is spinning slowly in a circle, arms open, as if air itself could be folded. You reach the small park with the crooked swing set. Someone has left envelopes on every bench. You choose one. It reads, "To whoever thought rest wasn't productive enough to be earned." Inside, a single sentence. Rest doesn't need to impress you to deserve you. You fold it, keep it. You sit for a while, not to reflect. Just to confirm that your body still recognizes stillness. Later you find a small art studio. The sign says, "Today, make something you will never post." You go in. There are crayons, paper, clay, no sign-in sheet, no instructor. You take a brush and paint a rectangle. Fill it with uneven color, not a masterpiece. Just yours. Someone walks by, nods at your painting, says, "Looks like permission." You nod back and leave. Down the road, a new building has appeared. It's not official. More like a glorified shed. A cardboard banner above the entrance, Office of Gentle Deregistration. Inside, a woman at a desk, clipboard, no computer. She smiles. Ready to unregister from something? You sit. She passes the clipboard. It reads, "What outdated titles, duties or beliefs are you releasing today? Check all that apply." Person who always says yes. Family archivist of things no one asked to remember. Unofficial host of invisible expectations. Holiday survivalist, apologizer-in-chief. Time zone code switcher. Other. Archives. You check 3 boxes, then write under Other. Person who kept waiting for closure that needed no ceremony. She stamps it. Hands you a receipt. You are no longer expected to keep performing that version of yourself. You thank her. She adds, "We don't offer refunds, only relief." You walk again, this time slower. People around you are beginning to speak more freely. not louder, just less packaged. You overhear one person say, "I made a meal that didn't taste like an apology." Another says, "I forgave myself for not mailing the cards." Turns out they were metaphors I didn't believe in. At the corner bookstore, a new section has appeared. A small shelf labeled "Letters we didn't send but needed to write anyway." You pick one at random. Inside, "Dear self, from 3 versions ago, you were trying so hard to be the right kind of remembered, but I remember you best when you rested." You leave your own behind. "Dear everyone I didn't gift this year, it wasn't because I forgot. It was because I finally trusted that love doesn't need packaging. And if it did, maybe that wasn't love." The clerk thanks you as you exit. They don't ask for your name, just say, "Come back if you remember something worth misplacing." You walk until dusk. The sky turns lavender. A note taped to a stop sign says, "Nothing urgent needs you tonight." You keep walking anyway. End up at the field where time forgot to schedule anything. You lie down. Watch clouds move like unfinished stories. You take out your folder. Write. Practices for between months. Don't label the season until it asks. Let your inbox learn what silence feels like. Ignore the invitations wrapped in guilt. Create an unholiday just for stillness. Speak to yourself in the tone you reserve for strangers you admire. Forget your own biography. Remember your becoming. Rehearse nothing. Revisit moments that didn't need improvement. Eat dessert first, metaphorically and literally. Sleep like someone who's not waiting for an alert. You fold the page, place it back. As the stars emerge, someone walks past. They nod toward you and say, "February sent a message." You raise an eyebrow. "What did it say?" They smile. "I might not show up. Hope that's okay." You laugh. Whisper, "It's more than okay." Because the truth is you don't miss it. Not the heart-shaped obligation. Not the new month hustle. Not the tired metaphors about growth and reinvention. What you have now is not a month, not a milestone, but a space. Unnamed. Unclaimed, and fully yours. The calendar says nothing. You stopped flipping the pages a week ago. There are no alerts, no reminders, no sense that anything is due. You wake when your body says so. Eat when the taste matters. You are no longer a schedule. You are a sequence. Outside, the sky is slate-colored, not ominous, just quiet. You walk to the window. Someone has drawn a small heart on the fogged glass. Not a romantic gesture, just evidence that someone was here. You touch it. It vanishes under your fingertip. That feels right. You dress, not to signal anything, just to feel real inside the weather. You walk. The streets are open like questions. At the corner, the post office has reopened. A new sign above the drop box. Submit any moment that didn't make it into history. You pause. Take out a scrap from your coat pocket. Write, January 14th. I watched the light change on my hands for 15 minutes. Nothing happened. Everything changed. You drop it in. Keep walking. At the library, a whiteboard reads, "Story time, today's theme, nothing special and why that's beautiful." Inside, people sit on the floor, sipping tea, reading aloud from receipts, scribbles, and forgotten drafts. Someone reads, "This morning I did not strive. I just stood still while the world kept existing. It didn't need my hustle to spin." Applause, soft like wind on water. No one claps loud, no one records. You sit for a while, then leave. Past the community center, someone has built a labyrinth out of cardboard. A sign says, "Not a maze, there are no wrong turns." You enter. Each panel you pass has a phrase painted on it. You are not late. You are not early. You are not measured. You are. Still, enough. You reach the center. There is no treasure, just a mirror on the ground. You look in, smile, then retrace your steps. Not lost, not found, just returned. Later you eat lunch at a food truck labeled, "Mediocre sandwiches, excellent space to think." You order something forgettable. It's perfect. The napkin has a quote, "Today is not a performance. Let the day happen without applause." You tuck it into your folder, which now holds more than notes. It holds echoes, practices, proof that you changed even when nothing looked different. Across the square, a crowd gathers. A man plays piano under a tarp. Not a concert, just music. No one films. No one shushes the whispers. You listen for a while. Not because it's spectacular, because it's honest. You think, this is what time sounds like when it stops trying to impress you. You walk again, past a park bench with graffiti that says, there's no such thing as wasted presence. You sit, pull out your notebook. Write, instructions for the days that don't obey. Don't chase what doesn't miss you. Let meals be mundane and still holy. Spend 1 hour with a window and no device. Leave a compliment in a place no one expects. Don't solve the silence. Unassign meaning. Thank your past self for surviving with imperfect tools. Let softness be the goal. Laugh without narration. Notice something ordinary until it becomes sacred. You fold the page. Place it inside the folder. As the light begins to shift, you find yourself back at the art studio. Today's theme: craft something that doesn't explain itself. You sculpt a small, uneven spiral out of clay, paint it sky blue. No one asks what it is. You leave it on a shelf titled, Offerings to the Next Unnamed Day. Someone next to you whispers, that's what my joy looks like too. You don't reply. You just nod. Because sometimes agreement is louder than language. You return to your room. The window is open. Cold air moves through the space like thought. On the table, a blank card has appeared. It reads, name the kind of peace you no longer need to earn. You pick up a pen. Write, the kind where I'm finally allowed to matter without proving it. You pin it to the wall, turn off the light, and for the first time in years, you don't check what day it is. Because the days that matter now don't obey anything but your becoming. It begins with a note, left on your doorstep, folded twice, anonymous handwriting. You seem okay. How did you do that? You read it 3 times before setting it down. You don't rush to answer. Because what they're asking isn't about technique, it's about permission. You brew tea, sit by the window. The fog is gone, but the light still feels shy. In the distance, someone is painting a mural on a library wall, large, messy strokes. The words emerging slowly. This wasn't supposed to work, and then it did. You smile, because you know exactly what they mean. You walk to the square. People are gathering. Not for protest, not for performance, just presence. Someone is handing out blank pins, no slogans, just space. You take one. Write in tiny letters, I am still unwrapping this. Someone sees it, says, that's the best one I've seen all week. You thank them, not with false modesty, just recognition. In the cafe, they've started serving a new drink. The chalkboard reads, today's brew, steeped in uncertainty, pairs well with unmade plans. You order it, sit in the corner, write in your folder. Today I was asked how I became okay. And for the first time I didn't flinch. I didn't assume it meant I owed anyone a method. Maybe okay isn't a strategy. Maybe it's just what happens when you stop punishing yourself for needing rest without reason. Someone walks by your table, sees your writing, says, you should teach this. You say, there's no curriculum. They nod. But that's what makes it trustworthy. You leave the cafe with a strange ache, not pressure, responsibility, but not the heavy kind, the sacred kind. Like being asked to hold the door open for someone who's just remembered they exist. You return to the office of gentle deregistration. It's grown. Now there's a second window. A sign above it reads, re-registration, optional. You approach. The clerk smiles. Want to add something back? You hesitate, then nod. She slides a form forward. Reclaim a part of yourself that got left behind. You write, the me who wasn't afraid of delight. She stamps it. Hands you a patch, certified joy holder. You laugh. Pin it beside your blank one. Outside, more people are sitting quietly. Some reading, some just breathing. It looks like a revolution. If revolutions wore slippers. You walk past a wall covered in notes. Each one begins with the same sentence. I thought I had to. You read, "I thought I had to be strong every December. I thought I had to buy silence with gifts. I thought I had to host even when I was empty. I thought I had to forgive before I was ready. I thought I had to disappear to be seen." You find an empty spot. Right. "I thought I had to perform gratitude just to be invited back." Then walk away, not needing to be watched, just witnessed. Later, you sit in the park. A child approaches. She's carrying a notebook, asks, "Are you the person who made the list about unmade plans?" You nod. She hands you a piece of paper, scrawled in pencil. "Today, I ate toast slowly, that's all." "But it felt important." You nod again, say, "That's one of the most advanced practices." She beams, runs off. You sit longer, not because you're waiting, because the bench feels like a conversation you're finally ready to have. You open your folder. Write, "How I became okay for anyone wondering. I stopped trying to impress people who weren't watching. I gave up on the idea of the perfect December. I let grief and joy share the same sentence. I let days be boring without declaring failure. I practiced doing one small kind thing daily, even if it was just for me. I accepted that not being invited doesn't mean I disappeared. I remembered that rest is not a reward. I chose softness, even when my voice trembled. I forgave myself for all the times I faked celebration. I stayed, even when staying meant being still." You fold the page, slide it into the folder, mark it not as a manifesto, but as a footnote. The sun begins to set. A light wind lifts the leaves. You hear laughter. Not loud, not performative, just real. And you know you didn't become a guide, you became an example, one that doesn't promise anything, except this. It's possible. Not easy, not instant, but absolutely, stubbornly, beautifully possible. You didn't plan to teach. You didn't make a flyer, didn't schedule a session, didn't name it. But somehow, they show up. People with eyes that ask before their mouths do. "Can you tell me how you started?" You never give the same answer twice. Sometimes you say, "I stopped trying to deserve silence." Other times, "I deleted the word should for a month." And sometimes, "I stared at a blank morning until I felt comfortable inside it." They nod like you're speaking in a language they forgot they knew. One afternoon you walk into the library and find a room full of chairs arranged in a circle. A chalkboard reads, "Today's topic, doing nothing on purpose." You sit, not in front, just among. A woman speaks first. "I didn't decorate this year. At first it felt like failure, then it felt like breathing." Someone claps, someone else starts crying. No one interrupts. Another voice. "I used to give gifts to stay visible. I stopped. I'm still here." You nod, not because it's new, because it's true. Afterwards, someone approaches you with a folded note, hands it over, then walks away. You unfold it. "I didn't know I was allowed to not miss what never felt real." You press the note into your folder like a prayer. Back home, the light is low and golden. Your windowsill holds a mug, a candle, and a rock someone gave you with the word pause etched in marker. You open your folder. Write, "For the ones arriving late, you're not late." The rituals can wait. There is no perfect mood for beginning. Quiet is still a valid RSVP. If you only made it to the table now, the meal is still warm. You don't need to summarize last year to enter this one. The party started when you noticed you were already here. The grief you carry isn't a disruption, it's an honored guest. If you haven't done anything meaningful yet, surviving counts. Being unsure means you're still asking honest questions. You're not too late for the quiet kind of joy. You underline that last line twice. The next day, a bulletin board appears outside the cafe. Title, Unscheduled Gatherings. You add a card. Bench in the park, 3 p.m. Bring a story that doesn't climax. At 3 p.m. you go. There are 5 people. One reads a letter they never sent. Another brings a recipe they made up by accident. A third says nothing, just listens, eyes wet. You all sit in silence after, and it's enough. Later, someone leaves a note on your door. "Thank you for not trying to fix me." You don't respond, you just tape it to the wall. Because that's what this is now. Not a program, not a retreat, not healing with a name tag, just being seen without needing to narrate. At the post office, someone starts a non-celebration shelf. People leave behind birthday cards that were never mailed, candles from unused cakes, New Year's hats that never made it out of the drawer. A sign reads, "Things we kept because we thought someone else needed them to feel loved." You place something of your own there, a ribbon from a gift you wrapped last year out of panic, not joy. The clerk smiles, says, "You're making room." You nod. She adds, "I think the opposite of overwhelm might just be curation." That night you write in your folder, "This is not a workshop. There is no sign-in sheet, no syllabus, no testimonials, but people are learning, not from me, from the refusal to rush, from the quiet, from watching someone else decide to matter without decorating it first." The next morning, someone leaves a box on your porch. Inside, a stack of notes, all beginning the same way. "I didn't know..." You read them one by one. "I didn't know I could say no to December. I didn't know skipping gifts wouldn't break the bond. I didn't know I was allowed to grieve and still laugh. I didn't know a boring Tuesday could feel sacred. I didn't know I was worth celebrating even if I didn't make progress." You place the box beside your window. Add your own. "I didn't know the most revolutionary thing I'd do was sit still long enough to remember who I was before applause." You light a candle, not for ceremony, for warmth. And as the wick catches flame, you realize you are no longer the only one doing this. This unnamed holiday, it's spreading. It's been 33 days since you opened box number 1. Not that you're counting, but your body remembers. Not the date, the difference. Today, the bakery windows are steamed again. Inside, a small group sits around flour-dusted tables, folding paper cranes from unused wrapping paper. Someone says, "We're not building traditions. We're building tolerance for not knowing what comes next." You nod. Someone hands you a crane. The wing reads, "I thought I needed rituals. I just needed rhythm." You smile, then walk out into air thick with the smell of cardamom and snowmelt. February is nearby, but it's not chasing you. It waits like an acquaintance, unsure if it's been forgiven. You walk past the mural wall again. The final phrase has been added in looping red paint. This wasn't supposed to work, and then it became the only thing that did. Beneath it, someone's written in pencil. Not a cult, just a recalibration. You laugh, not because it's untrue, but because they're all beginning to get it. At the square, there's a small wooden booth now. It reads, "Lost and found, for expectations that no longer serve." You step in. The attendant asks, "What would you like to misplace permanently?" You pause, then say, "The pressure to upgrade every version of myself before someone sees me again." She writes it down, places it in a jar, hands you a small slip in return. You are not in beta. You are not a project. You are a presence. You keep walking. A young man is sketching people without asking. He stops you, says, "I've been trying to draw peace, but it keeps looking like your posture." You say nothing. Just keep walking. At the library, the books not written yet shelf is now nearly full. You find one titled 31 Days That Forgot to Apologize. You flip through. Inside, Day 4. No one gave me a gift. It was the best present of all. Day 11. I realized silence doesn't mean absence. It means trust. Day 16. I walked away from a party and didn't explain myself. Day 20. Someone saw me resting and didn't ask what was wrong. Day 27. I remembered how to sit on a bench without curating it. You add your own page. Day 29. I told someone I felt okay, and they didn't ask if I was sure. You place the book back, not because it's done, because someone else needs to see that unfinished doesn't mean unworthy. That night you sit with the folder open across your lap. You light a small candle. Then write, "Before February arrives, a blessing." If you've made it this far without decorating your grief, if you've named joy without hashtags, if you've allowed others to arrive late without shame, if you've made room for stillness, If you failed to meet expectations and survived. If you've loved quietly, you are ready not to restart, not to reinvent, but to continue, with less noise and more presence. You close the folder, place it beneath your pillow, sleep deeply, without checking what time it is, because time no longer tells you what matters. You do. The next morning you wake to birds, not metaphorical ones, just birds, perched on the power line, chirping like no one ever told them about burnout. You dress, walk outside. Something has changed, not drastically, just subtly. The people around you aren't quieter, they're softer. Even the way they ask for coffee sounds like an invitation, not a transaction. A barista hands you your usual. Winks. Says, "You've been helping without trying." You ask how. She shrugs. "You made space for us to stop performing." You sit at your usual table, find a new napkin waiting. It says, "The end is not the goal. It's the part where you get to tell someone else how it felt." You finish your drink, walk to the bench, the one you first sat on when the days started blending. Someone sitting there now, a stranger. They look up, ask, "Is it okay if I'm not sure how I feel about all this?" You smile. Say uncertainty means your soul is paying attention. They nod. You sit beside them, say nothing, and for 10 whole minutes, the two of you do absolutely nothing remarkable, and it's glorious. Eventually you stand, leave behind a slip of paper tucked under the bench. It reads, "This wasn't a detox, this wasn't a rejection, this was a remembering." As you walk away, you hear footsteps behind you, not following, just echoing, because the loop didn't close, it widened. Enough for others to join. It ends without ceremony, no ribbon cutting, no closing credits, no final box. Just you, the folder, and a question no one ever asked. What if it was never broken? You stand on the edge of town. The sign once read, "Welcome to Pine Marrow." Now it says, "Return unnecessary. You were always here." The snow has melted into stubborn patches, clinging like footnotes from a season you no longer owe explanation. You walk one last time, past the mural. The mural now glows at dusk, a series of unfinished brushstrokes across stories that refuse to sell themselves as metaphors. Below it, someone has written, "This town didn't change. We just stopped asking it to behave like a postcard." The bookstore is still open. The books not written yet shelf has turned into an entire wall. People now bring their own blank pages and tuck them between volumes. You leave one of your own. Chapter title: How I Learned to Sit Still Without Being Watched. At the park, the benches are full. Not of people checking phones, but of people watching each other breathe. Someone reads aloud from a journal. "Today, I did nothing. And somehow, it was the kindest thing I've done for myself all year." No applause, just a gentle silence, like the world is nodding in agreement. You walk past the rec center. A sign says, "Tonight, Festival of Uncelebrated Things." You attend. People come dressed in clothes that mean nothing. One man holds a broken umbrella. When asked why, he says, "Because it still works when I don't try to control the wind." Another woman hands out slices of cake with no occasion. The frosting reads, "Not for anything." You take a bite. It tastes like permission. Someone starts playing a slow song on a violin missing one string. It sounds better that way. In the corner, people write on slips of paper, "What I'm not taking with me." You read a few. "My fear of being skipped. My addiction to appearing organized. My calendar full of performances. My fake laugh at the holiday table. The guilt that came with rest." You write your own. The version of me who only felt useful when exhausted. You fold it. Place it in the fire bowl at the center of the room. It burns blue. You feel lighter, but not empty. That night you return to your room. The folder sits on the table. You flip through it slowly. Each page feels like a layer you no longer need to wear. You reach the final blank sheet. And write. Closure is just a pause we've agreed to share. We don't need to finish, we don't need to explain, we just need to notice. And this was noticed. You don't sign your name. Because the story doesn't belong to you alone anymore. You place the folder on the windowsill, leave the window cracked open. In the morning, it's gone. Wind took it. Or maybe someone who needed it more. You don't chase it. You just begin again. But not from scratch. From softness. From somewhere deep inside the ordinary. You walk to the square. A new sign has appeared above the cafe. Now serving. No more firsts. Just continuations. You order tea. Sit with it. No narration. No reflection. Just the warmth of it in your hands. You overhear someone say, "I didn't miss the gifts this year. I missed the version of me who thought I needed them." Another adds, "The weirdest part? Nobody noticed." And it turned out, that was peace. Someone else whispers, "Maybe we've always been celebrating the wrong parts." You leave the cafe. The streets are quieter now, not because they're empty, because people aren't shouting over themselves, just moving in rhythm with a world that no longer demands a climax. At the edge of town, someone has chalked a final message across the sidewalk. This wasn't a lesson. This wasn't a test. This was proof that we are allowed to feel real without a reason. You step over it, not with reverence, just presence, and walk on. No box, no countdown, no banner, just a person who remembered how to exist without being marketed. You reach the road that leads out. There's no sign saying, "Come back soon," because maybe you never left. Maybe you just unsubscribed from performance, and that's enough. As you turn the corner, a bird lands on a nearby branch. Nothing symbolic, nothing clever, just alive. And so are you. That's the ending. Not dramatic, but definitive. And from here, you keep going. Not toward a conclusion, but through a life that no longer asks to be wrapped, only noticed.